trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs, great. If you own a house and want to sell it for $6,000, that's 816-330-6000, or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com, and I look forward to working with you.
What's good, y'all? It's Von Miller, Super Bowl MVP, Sagmaster, and now your host of Free Range. This is where NFL meets real talk. Every week, I'm bringing you inside the game, from locker room stories to league-wide headlines. You want football IQ, locker room insight, and real conversations with the people shaping the league? Welcome to Free Range with Von Miller, where nothing is off limits and every down counts. New episodes every Wednesday. Listen and follow Free Range with me, Von Miller, wherever you get your podcast.
Hey, Royals fans, it's Vern, and the Hot Stove Show is back Thursday night starting at 6 o'clock right here on your home for Royals baseball, 96.5 The Fan.
KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
Almost a week, but hey, we can see the grass again. That's good. Got just warm enough today that the snow's starting to melt. Which means before we know it, I'll be preparing to mow my yard again. It's been nice for the last couple of months to not have to worry about mowing the yard once a week. That was one thing that, like, when I first bought a house, I was so excited about the idea of buying a lawnmower and mowing my own yard and watering the grass and getting the weed killer out, that then about 3 or 4 months into that, I was like, I have to do this every week? This sucks. I don't enjoy this at all. Like, I thought this was going to be fun. It's not. It's been really disappointing to go from the high of like, it's my yard, I own it. You know, I get to cultivate this thing and try to make my yard look nice, to, God, it feels like it never ends.
The text line might not be in favor with them about this, like, anti-lawn care take to start the show here. Yeah, I am against lawn care, man. It stinks. It's one of the worst parts of home ownership. But I'll tell you, as an also, like, recent homeowner, one of the worst parts about home ownership in general is that time in, like, March, early April, when you're waiting out your neighbors, everyone's grass is growing. Who's going to be the first one to do it? Because the second Billy 3 doors down cuts his, you know you got to cut yours.
It's your turn.
Everyone's going to be firing it up down the street. So as long as you're not that guy that starts the trend, I'm good. But yeah, it's an awkward week or two there in late March. You all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's very different from, like, in November and into December. Like, nobody's waiting to see, like, you can't really tell when the last time that somebody mows their yard is, right? That's something that's, like, completely in your purview. You have to decide for yourself when's the last time you're going to mow your yard. I think I did it, like, the weekend after Thanksgiving was, like, the last time that I mowed our yard, and haven't really had any issues with it since. But yeah, I'm not really looking forward to having, because you don't want to be the last person on the street that hasn't mowed your yard yet.
Well, and the same thing happens in the fall with, like, leaves, because you don't want to be the guy that, like, doesn't pick up their leaves, and then your neighbor has. Well, then your leaves blow onto their, like, you don't want to be in that spot either. Yeah. So, like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. Yard care is not for me. Now, fast forward to the end of it. You've got the adult beverage. You've got the grill, or in my case, the Blackstone fired up, and you're admiring your work. Mm-hmm. That's peak home ownership. I want nothing more than that.
That's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to when it warms back up is I got a grill for Christmas. It's the first grill that I've ever owned. It's still sitting in the box because I don't really feel it necessary to grill in the middle of the winter. It's not really my bag. But once it gets warmer and, like, into late March, early April, and I can throw some steaks on the grill and learn how to for the first time. I got a pretty tentative idea watching my dad do it for years and years.
Yeah,
but
man.
Sometimes you just got to get on there and figure it out for yourself.
Throw some steak down, put the Royals on the Odyssey app. Life's good.
The
913 says Bink mowed his yard at 7:30 a.m. Said it's okay to mow his yard at 7:30 a.m. If that happens, we might fight. I might fight Bink.
Yeah,
that's on behalf of his neighbors.
Don't be the early morning mower. Don't be the late at night mower. Like, don't be that person at like 8:15 in the summer, like as the sun
just
is going down,
sunset. Yeah,
mowing your yard. That's the worst, man. Do the Brady Bunch, rip it all out, and put in AstroTurf. you know, it's not the worst idea I've heard. I think that my bank account is going to be the biggest hurdle in making that happen, but I appreciate the sentiment. I like the thought. It's always fun to dream, but it sucks when you have to put that dream into action. Yeah, that's sort of home ownership in and of itself, right? That's sort of home ownership in a nutshell of like, I have this place of my own. You know, I quote unquote own it. Really, your bank does, but it's beside the point. But it's mine, right? Until the first thing in that house decides to go kaput. Like for me, it was a toilet that we had to replace in our one of our bathrooms. That it was like, oh, the toilet went out. You know, that sucks. Oh,
That's
no,
on me.
I can't just call maintenance.
Yeah.
That's not good. I have to. Not only do I have to I have to pay for it and then fix it.
Yeah.
That's great. Really looking
enjoy
forward
the
to
night
that.
on your hands and knees in your bathroom with your YouTube app open on the phone,
Yeah.
looking at DIY stuff. Yeah, man, it's like I know we have to get a new HVAC before the summer. Just not looking forward to that at all. But yeah, no, there's way more perks than downsides. But boy, no, lawn care specifically, I'm not looking forward to that part of this. Everything else, I'm ready to get out of the cold weather. I'm happy to see the grass, like you mentioned. We're getting there.
Yeah.
The pitchers and catchers report here in a couple of weeks, right? We're almost there. But that's the one part I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah. The main thing is to know when you buy your first house, it's not about doing everything you want really fast. It's a lifetime change. Yeah, that's maybe the biggest thing that I've had to deal with. I mean, my wife and I, when we bought our house, we had 50 things on this list, right? When we're looking through the house, we loved the house. We liked 70% of it. And we just didn't have... There were a few things that we wanted to continue to work on. Few things we wanted to change. We want to rip out the carpet here and put something in there. New lights in this. We had all these ideas for it.
And let me
And
guess, you accomplished like 2 of them, but
Yeah,
now the list is still twice as long.
yeah, we're a
Yeah.
year into this thing, and we've accomplished maybe 10 items on the list, and somehow the list went from 50 items to 80, and you're sort of like, damn, wait, hold on. And, like, the biggest part of it is, I mean, first of all, it's a lot of time and effort that you got to put in, a lot of time and effort that most people just don't have. Secondly, it costs money, quite a bit of money. You know, when it's finally completed, it'll add a lot of value to the house, sure, but you don't have enough money just offhand.
Yeah, it hurts right now.
To just do it right now. I mean, you can't just accomplish all the things at once. That's something that I know my wife and I have struggled with in the last year. That 100%. Proud of you guys growing up. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Doing my best, you know. I haven't quite reached 30 yet, but I am very rapidly approaching that stage. You know, I turned 28 in exactly just under a month. Wait until you have kids and mowing is your peace and quiet. You know, I feel like for a while there, my dad took solace in that until I got old enough to do it myself. Right? I think that was maybe the biggest thing for my dad is when I got to be like 12 or 13, he'd be like, go mow the yard. All right. I'm looking forward to that aspect of it. Like when kids get old enough where it's like, work on that. Go do the dishes. That's going to be me. Dishes is going to like, go do the dishes because that is my least favorite household item to do.
I love doing the dishes,
I
man.
hate
But
it.
I think I would trust my kids with the yard because, like, if they mess up a line in the backyard, I don't really care. If they do the dishes and there's like stuff left over on, I'm gonna get upset. Like, I think I want to take care of that one myself. And then I can still have the quiet because they're out back mowing the yard. Hopefully, all their fingers and toes are still attached to them. They can do what they want back there. But yeah, I'll take the dishes.
Nah, my kids can do the dishes. Laundry is something I enjoy doing. I like folding my own laundry, and I'll enjoy folding my kids' laundry. So maybe that's something that I can keep for myself.
We would have been a good roommate duo, I think, before marriage and home ownership.
100%.
We missed out on that.
100%. I despise doing the dishes. It is my least favorite household chore. I'd rather pick up cat poop, which I do regularly. Cat litter boxes. I got 2 cats. They're a nightmare. I'm constantly picking up cat litter, but I'd rather do that 100 times before doing the dishes. Hey, we got off on a weird tangent there to begin the show. After Hours here on 96.5 The Fan. Logan Weber alongside Nathan Williams. Paper and plastic if you hate doing the dishes. I've tried. My wife refuses. I bought like plastic forks one time and we used it for a while, and then I was like, okay, we need more plastic forks and spoons, and she's like, we're gonna use the forks and spoons that we have. Okay, we're gonna use the actual metal steel ones that we bought. But that means I have to clean them.
And
and like,
you know,
we have a dishwasher, and I still hate doing the dishes.
yeah, and the whole like environment thing too. But I will say we got married last fall, so we had a whole bunch of leftover like plates and napkins. It saved us like a month of dishes. We did burn through those while we had them, and that was it was nice to not have that responsibility for a little while for sure.
See, that was me in college. I was a paper plate, like plastic bowl. That was me. I was everything's paper or plastic. So I can throw it away when I'm done with it. All I got to do is clean the big dishes. That was my bag, but I have
one cup that you use all the time.
Yeah,
probably.
man,
Yeah,
fair. But I have been thoroughly vetoed on that. My son started mowing this summer. I tell you, that first time I watched while drinking a Coors Light, best beer I've ever drank. Hell yeah, that sounds exactly like my father, to a T. I could picture my dad doing that because my dad's a big Coors Light guy in his own right. That sounds like a sentence my dad would have typed out. That comes from a 913, so I know it's not my dad, but I feel like you and he would get along pretty good. So now you guys hate trees. Whoa. Who says we hate trees? Where'd that come from?
I prefaced my take with being pro-environment.
Whoa.
I thought this is the same guy that said he was proud of us for growing up, isn't it?
Hate the trees.
Hey man, I don't want to upset you.
Save the trees, man. Save the turtles. I don't know what to tell you. Let's talk about some sports, though. Somebody in the text line said this would be a perfect segue into Royals management. We'll get to some Royals conversation because they made and have made a couple of sort of interesting moves the last couple of days, pitching-wise, which I feel like is sort of the smallest need for this Royals team. But we will certainly get to it. The first thing I want to talk about that isn't, I guess, homeowner, lawn mowing, or tree related. Okay, I get it. Okay, I'm going to start off the conversation by saying I understand why some people feel this way and why they voted this way. Nathan, is this not the most preposterous thing you've ever seen? Bill Belichick's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. I get it, okay? I get Spygate. I get Deflategate and all these other guys. He's the winningest coach in the history of the game of football. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, nobody is. Cheating scandals aside, nobody is.
I think I have a contradictory take than I do with the Baseball Hall of Fame because I am anti-steroid users being in the Hall of Fame in baseball. So I've been chewing on this one because I think the same thought process would lead me to the same conclusion that Bill Belichick's not a first ballot Hall of Fame. I can't get there. He's the winningest coach, like you said. He's the best coach in NFL history. He was part of and could be considered the leader of the greatest dynasty in the history of the sport. And you know, the thing about Bill is I know he didn't win without Brady in the couple years after when Brady went to Tampa. He was very good at what he did prior to Tom Brady, being a defensive coordinator in multiple organizations, having great success in those. Like, he is pioneer might be dramatic, but he definitely was a leader, the top defensive mind in the sport for decades. I don't think you can start to like there's certainly no coach that's a first ballot Hall of Famer if it's not Belichick. Now, I do understand the process argument about, well, it's some guy's last chance, so we need to vote for him first. And if that's really the reason, then I'll hear you out. But they also, after the cheating was revealed, they then won another 3 Super Bowls and had another dynasty. Like, I just can't justify it. I just can't.
I mean, there's something to be said for the cheating scandals. There's something to be said for, well, you know, he couldn't win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady. Okay. You know, just to throw this out there at people, no matter what happens, Andy Reid is going to retire before Patrick Mahomes does. I think we can all collectively agree on that. Andy Reid will deserve to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So is it going to be a knock against Big Red that he couldn't win a Super Bowl without Patrick Mahomes?
Well, and you can say that with any Jimmy Johnson or Troy Aikman, Chuck Nolan, Terry Bradshaw. That's how coaches.
Yeah, Bill Walsh is maybe the only guy you can't say that about because he did it with Montana and with Steve Young.
Yeah.
So
but that's like what a dynasty is. Like you don't have dynasties where there's a an aging quarterback and then he's immediately replaced with a young quarterback who, I mean, outside of that Niners example, like a dynasty is you've got a young, cheap quarterback, you've got a head coach that's got that thing rolling. Like many cases, you've got a defensive line. Like there's things in place you have to have for a dynasty. So like I don't want to hear the whole without Brady he was nothing. Like I said before, he was a great coordinator on his own, and then he won 6 Super Bowls. So yeah, Andy Reid, great offensive mind before Patrick Mahomes came around. Won a lot of games without him. He's not going to win a Super Bowl without Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
He's still a Hall of Famer.
100%.
So I don't buy into that argument at all.
I mean, this is a guy who won 2 Super Bowls as an assistant coach with the New York Giants. He was considered and still is considered one of the greatest defensive minds in the history of the game of football. I mean, you look at what he did in that first Super Bowl in 2001 against the greatest show on turf. It was considered by many at the time the greatest offense in the history of the National Football League. Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Faulk. I mean, that was a gauntlet of an offense with weapons galore all over the place. And you won a knockdown, drag-out kind of football game in which Tom Brady didn't play particularly well.
I also don't. You're right, but in response to a couple of the texts that have come in, I also don't think the game of football looks at Belichick the way the game of baseball looks at the steroid era or the gambling, like with Pete Rose and stuff. Like, I think it's still debated in circles amongst football how much effect that actually had on the Patriots' success. Whereas in baseball, for better or for worse, there's like this more hardline moral line that we draw. Like, oh, the Astros are banging trash cans. Get ready for the Jose Altuve Hall of Fame debate in 10 years from now. It's going to be a doozy.
Yeah.
We've drawn this line with guys like Clemens and Bonds. That doesn't exist in football. So it does seem kind of like contradictory. But like Bill Belichick, I mean, I'm trying to think of guys that were in his echelon for those years, like Dick LeBeau, like on the defensive side of the ball. Like when you went up against
Buddy
Bill Belichick,
Ryan.
Yeah. When you went up against him, you knew that your number one receiver or weapon was eliminated, just as a starting point. Hey, Travis Kelce's not going to do anything tonight. What else do we got? That's unparalleled in the game, especially today. So he's too good for me to worry about the Spygate, the Deflategate, whatever else.
Oh, fair point. Somebody just brought that up. I mistakenly, Bill Walsh did only win with Montana. He won 3 Super Bowls with Montana, and then he left, and George Seifert took over, and he won this Super Bowl with Steve Young. So I was wrong on that. Joe Gibbs is a very good example via 660. He won Super Bowls with 3 different starting quarterbacks during his time in Washington. So that's a really good point that they bring up. You know, I'm one of those people. You say you're on like polar opposite sides of this. Like you're sort of a purist when it comes to baseball with guys like
100%.
Bonds and McGuire.
100%.
I am not. I think Barry Bonds deserves to get into the Hall of Fame. I believe McGuire deserves to get in the Hall of Fame. I'm a little cooler on the idea of Sammy Sosa because he wasn't a great player before the steroid use, really, in my opinion. A guy like Clemens deserves to get in. You threw Jose Altuve's name out there. I had that exact conversation a little over a week ago when they announced Carlos Beltran was being put into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And they're like, oh, the cheating scandal thing with the Houston Astros. And it's like, he was 39 and hit 230. It was his last year of baseball. Why are we using that as a reason for keeping Carlos Beltran out of the Hall of Fame? And conversation turned to Jose Altuve, to which I said, Jose Altuve deserves to get into the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. Jose Altuve is the greatest second baseman of this generation. Nobody's particularly close. I don't care if they were banging on trash cans or not. Jose Altuve deserves to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I think Belichick deserves to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he will be eventually, but he should have been first ballot. And the fact that he wasn't, I feel like, does less to damage the legacy of Bill Belichick, but it does more to damage the credibility of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Absolutely. I feel like this is a bigger mark against Canton than it is Bill Belichick.
It is. And the reasons that I am unhappy with the voting process are, A, the voters like Vahe Gregorian who have said, hey, I needed to vote for guy X because he was going to fall off the ballot. That stinks. Bill Belichick's a first ballot Hall of Famer. There shouldn't be a limit, an age out, a limit to the amount of coaches that could go in per year, et cetera. And the other thing is keeping guys out because they're jerks, right? Roger Clemens. steroids aside, if he was a jerk, since he was a jerk, according to a lot of baseball writers, they would still be trying to keep him out. We know there's this vendetta against people. All the stuff with Bill Polian that's been going on.
Yep.
Like, that stinks as well. So I think it's the limits. It is the not liking him as a person in addition to the cheating. But, man, the Astros thing, that's going to be so interesting because, again, baseball regards the steroid era as a black mark on its history. The sport itself, baseball, the owners, the commissioner, they don't regard the Houston Astros banging trash cans as a black mark on the game. Us fans do. They don't. The NFL doesn't regard Spygate as that. So, like, I think those Astros players, like, I think Altuve could get into the Hall of Fame before Barry Bonds does.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that's. I would almost guarantee it if I'm being honest. And yeah, this is a black mark in my opinion on the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. You know, that 40 of 50 people couldn't think that he deserved to get onto the ballot.
That's ridiculous.
That's outrageous in my opinion. And I think that it is a bit interesting that of all the figures that are attached to this, all the people that have a vote in this, you know, of the 50 people, most of them are NFL veteran writers and reporters, but general manager and Bill Polian and Tony Dungy are both on here. I'm willing to wager a good amount of money that there was some politicking at hand between Bill Polian and Tony Dungy on an anti-Bill Belichick rant, tirade in those meetings.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like a personal penalty against Bill and not a statement about his cheating. So that's why I can't get on board with this argument. If it truly was all about the cheating, I think I'd hear it out more. But it feels like definitely a penalty towards Bill Belichick inflicted by the voters.
Yeah, and let's see, because, you know, what's going to be interesting here is that among the other people in that category that were being voted upon by these 50 people includes Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots. So it'll be very interesting to see once this all comes out, once we have the official vote tallies and everything like that, if they voted in Robert Kraft and didn't vote in Bill Belichick, which is going to be even more absurd, in my opinion, that you're going to vote in the owner of the organization, but not the coach that got him every ounce of success that he's ever received up until this season, with Drake May and Mike Vrabel leading the show with this Patriots team heading to a Super Bowl.
100%.
913-586-7965 is our number. We've got some messages in the text line that I want to take a look at as we go along here. We've got some college basketball to get to, but more NFL news. We've got some head coaching hires. We've got some coordinator firings. A lot more to discuss, including our first media discussion, or media, I guess you could say, remarks from Eric Bieniemy today as he returns to the Kansas City Chiefs. Logan Weber alongside Nathan Williams. You're listening to After Hours, 96.5, The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
I wish I'd gotten treated for my erectile dysfunction sooner. Men, I hear this all the time from our patients. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if ED is a problem in your life, resolve to get it treated today and stop having it affect you and the one you love. ED is simply a medical condition, and it's fully treatable. And at Heartland Men's Health, we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. Which means if you're like most guys, your ED will be a thing of the past. In fact, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and you'll likely find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. It's the new year. Resolve to get your ED treated and change your life. Call us at Heartland Men's Health. Your initial visit is only $99. It includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600, or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Jewelry Graham. Hi, I'm Brian, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. We have just the right gift for your sweetheart this Valentine's Day. Any style, any budget. Like heart-shaped necklaces, birthstones, or hand-matched diamond studs. Getting engaged? Create a dream ring and choose from natural and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes. Come see us in store or at shaneco.com because a friend wants you to win Valentine's Day. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
When winter's chill hits, trust Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter. For a limited time, get up to $2,000 in instant savings on a new HVAC system from Hamilton. Our pros offer expert installation, flexible financing, and energy-efficient options that can help lower your energy bills. Over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 five-star reviews are great reasons to trust Hamilton. But don't wait. This is a limited time offer. Visit callhamilton.com/radio for details, terms, and conditions. License number 2025-11121.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon.
Hello?
You won't believe where I am.
Are you running?
Mile 26. I'm gonna make it.
Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e with its advanced camera system on us. Plus, 2 lines for just $30 a line.
Guys, I can't believe it.
I knew you could do it, babe.
That was amazing. Mom, how do you feel?
I feel great. I can't feel my feet. Let's take a picture, and then you may carry me to the car.
Share every stride, every mile, every memory on America's best network. Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e on us and 2 lines for just $30 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 eligible port-ins on Essentials 55 Plus for well-qualified customers with autopay plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 128 gigabytes, $599.99 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Google of Speed Test Intelligence data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
Tonight, expect a low of 16 with mostly cloudy skies.
Weather brought to you by Staples. 2026 is here, and at Staples, deals mean business. Like up to $100 off custom print orders. Head into the new year looking good for less. Staples. That was easy. Ends 131.
Hey, it's Alex Gold, and coming up on Tuesday, February 10th, everyone from the station will be hosting the Chiefs Off-Season Show, starting at 9 a.m. Bob, Dusty, Cody, C-Dot, and myself will all be in studio and on camera for 2 hours talking about what went wrong in 2025, the Chiefs' biggest needs in free agency, and who should they be targeting in the upcoming NFL Draft. The Chiefs Off-Season Show, starting at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, February 10th, right here on your home for Chiefs football, 96.5 The Fan.
Things are a little split in the text line. I will say that it seems to be leaning more towards Belichick should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. But you knew that this was going to be part of the conversation when the news dropped, that it was going to be compared to the Baseball Hall of Fame and some of the decisions or lack thereof in Cooperstown, because this does have a little bit of that feel to it. Right? The steroid era guys and the accusations of cheating and the Astros thing, you know, somebody said they saved baseball. You have to let the roids guys in. I am of that opinion as well. Nathan is on the other side of that situation. You know, honestly, I look at those two things separate to me. Performance enhancers is cheating technically, yes, but you still have to do the thing where filming other people's practices, you know what they're going to do. In fairness, there was only ever really evidence of them specifically filming the Jets' practices. Nobody was fearful of the Jets. Nobody has been since the day Joe Namath said that they were going to win a Super Bowl. Not that justifies the actions. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I guess why it doesn't bother me as much is because it was just the Jets, yes, but also they didn't go through the Jets in a pivotal playoff game during this time. The Jets stunk. They also won the Super Bowl so many other times. They went to 10 of them during this reign. Brady went to 1 in Tampa in his first year. Like, these guys won outside of the scandal. I think Houston winning the World Series in 2022 helped their argument for, hey, they didn't need this. Now, do the Dodgers win the World Series in 2017? Or do the Yankees go and maybe they win the World Series? If the Astros aren't banging on trash cans, maybe. But I think the parallel between those two scandals, Spygate and Trash Can Gate, is the teams were using electronic means to spy on their opponent to gain an advantage, and it's kind of a widely known secret that everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
Everybody in baseball is filming. How often did you hear before the pitch comm came in that you're on the road and this team's got a guy in center field like everywhere? People said the Royals were doing it here at Kauffman Stadium. Like, sign stealing in baseball is normal. And then in football, again, it's probably a little bit similar to, hey, we now know there's this problem. We need to shut it down, right? Teams are trying to videotape. Like, steroids are different to me because they seemed like an easier way to cheat the system. Right or wrong, it seems like we've given a pass to the trash cans and to the Spygate. I don't know.
Yeah.
We hold steroids, and me included, we hold to the steroid scandal in a different regard.
Mike, the curious nature that I have, and somebody brought it up in the text line, a 913 says, if Belichick doesn't get into the Hall because of the cheating scandal, does that mean Brady doesn't get into the Hall because of the cheating scandal?
That's what it would mean, yes, and that's why it's absurd.
Right. Belichick will get in. I have no doubts that he eventually will get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He should. But the fact that he's not on his first go in what should be a no doubt in anybody's mind first ballot he is the most obvious first ballot Hall of Fame candidate in the history of football until the day that Tom Brady is eligible to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So if Belichick doesn't get in on his first go, I think by circumstance, then Brady shouldn't get in. Because Brady was a part of the Spygate scandal. Brady was a part. In fact, Brady was the only person punished for Deflategate. Mm-hmm. If that's where we're going with this.
Which, like, Brady and his family, like, still maintain that Deflategate, like, wasn't a thing. They didn't do it. I mean, you can draw your own conclusions. But, like, they still were like, hey, it was easier to just take the punishment, so I did. Like, if Belichick, on the merits of his career alone, is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, nobody is. There should never be another one again in the history of the NFL Hall of Fame.
Nope. Somebody in the text line, and I got an 816, says, Tom Brady didn't film any practices. That's a coaching thing. Okay. Bill Belichick didn't deflate any footballs. Tom Brady did. And Tom Brady instructed the equipment staff to do that. At least according to the NFL's investigation. So, tomato, I guess, in that situation. There's something, I never thought I'd see the day where I was wildly complaining about the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I am a staunch opponent of the Baseball Hall of Fame. I have given lots and lots of criticism towards Cooperstown and will continue to do so because I think that their system is inherently flawed. I've never really felt that strongly about it with the Pro Football Hall of Fame until today. And there is something deep in the core of me as a Chiefs fan that hates the fact that I'm having to defend Bill Belichick today.
Absolutely.
That does not feel good to me at all because guess what? I hate Bill Belichick. I hate the New England Patriots. I hate Tom Brady. Do I respect the hell out of him? You bet I do. But I can't stand him. This is wrong. Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer is simply wrong.
What a week for Chiefs fans. We had to root for the Patriots in the AFC Championship game on Sunday. We then had to listen to Tom Brady call the NFC champion. By the way, he did a fantastic job on Sunday night in Seattle. And now we're defending Bill Belichick 3 days later. What a disgusting turn of events for Chiefs fans as it relates to that team up in New England.
Yeah.
What a weird week.
Yeah, you were having to decide whether to root for the Bills or the Broncos 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, just gross.
And then you've got this, Chiefs aren't even in the playoffs. They're talking about drafting a running back. Everybody's talking about them drafting Jeremiah Love at number 9. I am on the verge of needing sedation. I have forgotten what it's like. I've forgotten what the first 22 years of my existence as a Chiefs fan was like. Okay, we've become so spoiled that we have we have memories, fleeting memories and flashbacks of the Tyler Thigpen, Brody Croyle days, okay? But the Palco days. But we are so far removed from it now. We've had so much success that this feels like an avalanche all at once. Because all those scars, those open cuts, those wounds that we had every single year healed over an 8-year period where we were the dominant force in the National Football League, and now those wounds are open again, and we have no idea how to handle it.
I'm just pushing it in the back of my mind. I think you would call this an avoidant attachment style. I'm trying with these like therapy terms here. I think that's what I'm taking towards this playoff bracket. Like, we had to root for the Bills. We had to root for the Patriots. We wanted the Broncos to lose. The Eagles were in this thing. I wanted them to lose so bad. By the way, it's gone well. The Broncos are not in the Super Bowl. The Eagles aren't there. Josh Allen's not there. As long as Seattle wins, I'm thrilled with how it turned out. But I think I'm just kind of pushing it down, not feeling anything related to it, and assuming the Chiefs will be back next year. That's kind of the route I'm taking.
I'll be completely honest. You said that, so you were rooting for the Bills to beat the Broncos?
1,000,000%.
I wasn't.
1,000,000%. That's gross, Logan.
I wasn't. I wanted the Broncos to win that game and then lose in the AFC title game. I'm sorry. I know there are some Chiefs purists that are going to be very upset with me saying that.
In what situation would you root for Nebraska? Checkmate. That's gross.
Okay, that's a hard comparison that you're drawing there, okay? There's some distinct difference. For me, it was like a personal thing because I am sick and tired of hearing Josh Allen compared to Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. I'm tired of it. And I knew a loss to the Broncos in a divisional round game like that would kill it. That was the disinfectant. That was the pesticide that was finally going to rid us of this weed that kept popping up every year of, is Josh Allen actually better than Patrick Mahomes? I knew that was what was ultimately going to be the undoing of the Josh Allen-Patrick Mahomes comparisons. That is the only reason why I was rooting for the Broncos to win that game. Frankly, I was that guy, I was the meme of the I just hope both teams lose. Yeah. That was me watching the game live, but
I'll say this, looking back on it, I'm thrilled with the way it turned out, right? All these Josh Allen narratives got killed, and the Broncos still didn't do anything.
Yeah, it was sort of you did get the, hey, both teams lost.
Yeah, if I could have picked the outcome, I would have picked this exact outcome. But what I was thinking that weekend is I do not want Bo Nix to win a Super Bowl. I can't have it. I'd rather have Josh Allen win one than Bo Nix win one. And I'd find some justification in Josh Allen winning one to prop up Patrick Mahomes further. I did not want the Broncos in that spot, but I'm happy now. I think it's water under the bridge.
It's one of those, it's interesting with Chiefs fans. You talk to Chiefs fans of different ages, they have different, rivals, whether those be in the league or in the division. Like, my grandmother despises the Raiders. I mean, for most of her lifetime, it was the Oakland Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders. She despises the Raiders, which makes perfect sense that my uncle is actually a Raiders fan, just to spite her. She cannot stand the Raiders.
Can't stand them.
My mom is the same way. My mom despises the Denver Broncos because when she was in high school, the Broncos were really good. Shortly after she graduated high school, right around the time I was born, they're winning Super Bowls and Elway's the king of the castle. For me, I don't like the Raiders, and I don't like the Raiders because they haven't been good in 40 years and they act like they're still good. That bothers me. The Broncos have had success even recently with Manning's Broncos and all that, but I've never met a Broncos fan that I was just like, you're a terrible human being. I really can't stand the Chargers. And a lot of that stems from the last 10 years, right? Early on in our childhood, it was Rivers and LT, and they were the best team in the division. Never really a Super Bowl contender, but they were the best team in the division. You knew when the Chargers came to town, they were likely going to leave Arrowhead with a W, with how bad those teams were in that era and the Chargers being fairly solid. But over the last 10 years, they have constantly been every offseason. It's somebody's out there, oh, this is the year the Chargers are actually going to win the AFC West. They're going to usurp the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to fall. It's always been the Chargers for some reason. And that's sort of created this gross mindset for me.
And then you look at the bugaboos of the 90s and the 2000s, which were the Colts, and then the Patriots in the 2010s, and then the present-day rivalries with the Bengals and the Bills. There's a lot of, we just named half the AFC that we don't want to win. And if the Chiefs aren't going to win it, guys, someone's going to. So I think we had close to the best-case scenario with the Broncos being out, the Chargers getting out early, and Josh Allen not being able to claim a Super Bowl. I think it worked out well.
Somebody in the text line brought it up, and that's part of my reasoning was part of the reason why I was wanting the Broncos to actually beat the Bills is also because of the quarterbacks, right? You don't want to watch Bo Nix win a Super Bowl. I don't think at this point in his career he was capable of winning a Super Bowl. Even if he doesn't fracture his ankle, I still don't see. They could have beat the Patriots with how bad New 100%. England's offense played in that football game, but they're not good enough to beat the Seahawks.
No.
I don't think they were good enough to beat the Rams. So I had less of a fear if Bo Nix wins that football game that the Broncos were going to win a Super Bowl versus if Josh Allen gets to that point. I think Josh Allen and the Bills would have beat the Patriots by a couple of scores in that game had they been in Denver, or I guess the game would have been in Foxborough, but I digress. I don't know. There was just so many factors inside of it that I was just like, let the Broncos win, and then they'll lose to whoever in the AFC title game, and then whoever wins that game is going to lose the Super Bowl because the Seahawks look quite a bit better than the New England Patriots, in my opinion.
I hate the Broncos so much that I wasn't okay with that risk.
Understandable. 913-586-7965. Good Lord, we ran extremely long on that segment. So we'll come back briefly and keep talking here. We've got more messages in the text line. I want to take a look at some other NFL news around America, including one surrounding the Buffalo Bills. They have finally hammered in who their next head coach is going to be. And justification for me, it's the name I've been saying for weeks. It's official. Logan Weber alongside Nathan Williams. You're listening to After Hours here on your home for Kansas City Sports, 96.5, The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City Sports, 96.5, The Fan.
The big game is here, and it's time to elevate your game with Circa Sports. Danon Hughes here, and Circa Sports isn't just sports betting, it's sports betting the way it should be. The big game requires a big betting menu, and Circa Sports has you covered. From player props to game scenarios, Circa Sports has it all, including our fan favorite Circa Squares menu. Instead of picking your big game squares randomly, choose your numbers and place your bets. Download your new bookie today and visit circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I love spending time outside at our house, but I noticed some paint was starting to peel. So I called CertaPro Painters to give us a fresh touch-up. We use CertaPro Painters inside and out at our place, and you should do the same. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in Kansas City. So schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, CertaPro.com. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-390-1164. 800-390-1164. 800-390-1164.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Big game coverage on 96.5 The Fan is presented nationally by Tide. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide.
All right, we're going to make a quick detour here because Nathan just told me something off air, and I want to have a discussion about it. So you were telling me, Nate, that you almost had a chance to see LeBron play a couple of weeks ago, but it didn't happen. Like, walk us through that.
Didn't happen. Yeah, it makes me sad, man. So my wife travels for work, and I get the chance to go with her if I want to. Sometimes I do that. And she was traveling to New Orleans for a work conference. She said, "Why don't you come? My day job's remote. Why don't you come work from the room?" Great. Oh, look, on the day we fly down, the Lakers are in town.
Playing the Pelicans?
I'm gonna see LeBron play. So my boss at the other job comes to me and is like, "Hey, we got this training we want you to do that day." So I go to my wife and I'm like, "Look, LeBron's probably gonna rest. They're in San Antonio the very next night. So LeBron and Luka might not play in New Orleans anyway. I'll just fly out Wednesday morning." Sure enough, I get out of training Tuesday. I'm watching the game. LeBron's there. Luka's there. They each drop 30. The Lakers are down like 15 in the fourth quarter. Come back, win the game. It's absolute cinema. And so I was telling my boss the next week that, oh man, I didn't go to see LeBron play. I didn't think he would play, and he played. My boss was like, "Why didn't you just tell me? I would have postponed the training. It's no big deal." So yeah, I've been kicking myself the last few weeks, thinking, did I pass up my only chance to see LeBron play? You said you did get a chance to see LeBron in person.
I did once. I was, 8 or 9, I want to say. It was like 2006, 2007, back when they were still doing...
06, 07?
Yeah, something like that. Back when they were doing the exhibition games at the Sprint Center, which it was called at the time, obviously. There are some of us out there that just want to be grumpy old man yells at cloud and still call it that. I still will have an occasional slip up and call it the Sprint Center and not the T-Mobile Center. It's natural. I get it, right?
Yeah, we still call the Sandstone out in Bonner Springs.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, one of the new thing that I've been struggling with is calling it the Hy-Vee Arena and not Kemper Arena. I still struggle with that.
I've never once called it the Hy-Vee Arena. Never once.
Yeah, I went out there a while ago. My niece was running in a 5K or something over there, and I was like, "Where are we going?" They're like, Hy-Vee Arena. I'm like, what in the world is Hy-Vee Arena? Like, it's Kemper. I'm like, oh, okay, I know where that is. Didn't know that they changed the naming rights. But, yeah, this was, almost 20 years ago now. It was right after the Heat had won, and they won that championship with D-Wade and Shaq. And they were playing the Cavs in an exhibition game at the Sprint Center. And it was kind of sick. I have a vague memory of seeing LeBron James because we showed up we were in line before the doors opened. Like, we were one of the first ones into the arena because we wanted to get as close down to the floor as we could before tip-off to see the players and everything. I vaguely remember...
Shaq is there, D-Wade is there? Oh, my gosh.
I vaguely remember seeing LeBron, and I vaguely remember watching Dwayne Wade, but I have a vivid memory of the first time Shaquille O'Neal came out of the tunnel for pregame warm-ups, and you're like, oh, it's the largest human being you'll ever see in your life.
Was he Fat Shaq yet?
He was pretty thick Shaq
just a
at
huge
that point.
Human being at this point.
Massive. Yeah, that was right firmly in that time period where he and Pat Riley started getting into it during practice about his weight and his lack of, his lack thereof of any sort of
motivation.
Effort.
Yeah, sure.
In the off season. So yeah, he was pretty heavy set dude by any stretch of the imagination. But just watching all 7'2" of him come out onto the floor in the first, just the height of the man, you're like, what? Human beings are that big?
Yeah.
Like they come that they're able to grow to that, and I'm sitting there at 8 or 9 years old. incredibly small, knowing that I was going to be incredibly small for pretty much all of my life. And you're like, that was one of those moments, like as an 8-year-old kid, a sobering reminder of like, the NBA is not in your future, buddy. Hate to tell you, start thinking about talking about sports because you're not going to be playing it much beyond high school.
A couple guys in the text line have chimed in. One said they've seen LeBron play in Minnesota. The other one in OKC. I think both of them mentioned that Bronny was in those games too. That's incredible. I need to get out. I need to get to an OKC game, a Memphis game, something this year to see LeBron. And the other guy in all of sports that I feel that way about right now is Wemby. But I do feel like I have plenty of time to check that one off. LeBron, it's getting urgent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I really miss an opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I have never actually been to a regular season NBA game.
So much fun.
I went to that exhibition game, and then I think there was a year, I believe it was the Rockets who were playing in an exhibition game at the Sprint Center. And so I got a chance to see T-Mac and Yao Ming, and Yao is much taller than Shaquille, but when they get to be that tall and you're a little kid, Shaq just seemed larger than life because not only was he incredibly tall, he was, his stature was incredibly large. But you're like, yeah, that's 7'6". That's insane. But I'd love to get to like an actual NBA regular season game. At some point.
It's fantastic, and the NHL captures energy too in a similar way. But I've been to 3 or 4, but one was an opening round playoff game that year that Boston went to the finals against Steph and lost to the Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
It was a game against the Nets, and it was the game after Kyrie had flipped the fans off. I just was in Boston, and that happened, and I was like, "Yo, I'm getting into this next game."
2021.
I want to say 21 or 22, maybe 22.
It was like shortly after COVID had sort of finally dwindled off.
Dude, that environment, unreal. Could not recommend more.
Yeah. 913-586-7965. More coming up here. We'll come back and wrap up hour number 1 of After Hours. Stick around with us. We've got NFL news, college basketball news. Things are not good for the K-State Wildcats in men's basketball, and they're only getting worse because Jerome Tang is seemingly refusing to take blame for his team's poor play, instead blaming the institution itself. I'll give you my thoughts on that later on tonight on After Hours. Logan Weber, Nathan Williams, 96.5, The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Steve here with Connolly Plumbing Solutions, your neighborhood plumber. For January, after the holidays, we're offering to auger your main line or branch line for only $99 per hour. That's $100 off this month only. This also includes a camera inspection with mainline work. Don't start 2026 with things backing up. So call Connolly Plumbing Solutions at 913-768-7676 or visit ConnollyPlumbingSolutions.com to schedule.
And Doug.
Oh, what a horrible call. Hey, ref, open your eyes! Ref, you're really not going to call that? Come on!
Hey, ref, why don't you customize your car insurance with Liberty Mutual and save money?
I don't think you get what we're doing.
Sure I do. We're all just giving him advice. You guys on sports, me on saving money.
Nope, that's not it.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call Heartland Men's Health today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at Heartland Men's Health will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Save more on the brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances and choose from our wide lineup of top brands. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder. Now just $189. Built for strength, flexibility, and job site versatility. Pros, these savings will only be here for a limited time. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 1/30. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Well, we've got to get to the top of the hour here pretty expeditiously. There you go. There's your vocab word of the day, expeditiously.
I would say use it in a sentence, but you just did. So.
I don't know why that's the word that comes into my brain. I don't think you want to know about what's going on in this brain. It's kind of a jumbled up mess. But I want to go back briefly to the conversation we were having at the start of the show. Bill Belichick, officially not a first ballot Hall of Famer in this year's Pro Football Hall of Fame class. And we've sort of been having this debate back and forth in regards to it. Some people in the text line agree, disagree. I am of the opinion he should have been in. Nathan, I think you're kind of along the same lines.
Absolutely.
Somebody brings up a comparison, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on if you agree with the distinction here. Saying, like, comparing the steroid era to Bill Belichick and the Spygate thing, which many believe is the reason why he wasn't considered for a first ballot Hall of Fame nod this time around. An 816 says, both cheating scandals are different. Look at it like an exam. The steroid guys took an Adderall before the test. Belichick stole the answer key. You know, I don't hate the comparison. I don't disagree with it. I like the steroid guys taking an Adderall before they took the test. Some of that is fair, unless that child, unless the steroid guys had ADHD, the Adderall was necessary. Take it from somebody who's on it or something similar to it, okay? Somebody with ADHD. It's life-changing, I'll tell you. So nice to not hear the voices in your head going a million miles an hour and be able to focus on something.
Wow, Logan, you could be hitting 70 homers a year in the major leagues. Wow.
Oh, man, I wish, dude. I mean, it was mind-boggling. It took me until I was 27 years old to get on medication for my ADHD. And I can remember, like, the first day I took it, sitting on the couch, watching TV with my wife, and actually, like, watching the movie. Like, I wasn't on my phone scrolling. I wasn't doing 100 other things. I wasn't looking. I was just, like, focused on what was happening, and my head was silent. I was just like, I remember turning to her and being like, this is what every day is like for you? Like, you don't hear, like, your wheels aren't constantly spinning all the time? She's like, no. I'm like, huh. So I don't hate the comparison of, like, steroids, a guy taking Adderall before the test. Steroids, are one thing. Belichick stealing the answer key to the I feel like it would be more comparative to say, like, Belichick stole the answer key to the study guide.
Yeah, I don't like the thought that Belichick and the Patriots then still didn't have to go out and execute as well. Like, we just say, oh, you still had to hit the home run with the steroids. Well, Tom Brady still had to hit Randy Moss to beat the Jets. Like, I see those as kind of the same. Now, I'm with you on the stealing the answer key, using a study guide during the test, maybe.
Yeah.
I like that example for Spygate. I don't like the Adderall example for the steroids. I'm trying to come up with one that I do like, but I see the steroid thing more as, like, the rest of the class being graded on a curve, and you're not. Getting, like, an advantage, an upper hand in the test, not just like a boost.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And look, I admittedly am drinking the Kool-Aid that the MLB has put out about steroids since the late 90s, right? Like, we all know that it was actually good for the sport. We think the sport was hiding its use for delaying coming down on its use for a while because it was so popular in the late 90s. The home run chase did so much to bring the sport back after the strike. I get all of that. I just see it differently than teams that have used electronic ways to gain upper hands. And I think it's just because the general consensus is everyone was doing those other things. In college football, we're putting large signs up at this point in time to distract other sidelines from being able to see our hand signals.
Yeah, coaches are covering their mouths when they're sending in the plays, and
catchers are hiding signals with their glove when they're putting them down to the pitcher.
Yeah,
like,
they've got
everyone knew this.
We've now got the I don't even know. I can't remember the acronym that they use. Yeah,
the one that goes out twice a game and causes a 30-second delay.
Thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're finding more unique ways to do it. But you're exactly. The one thing you brought up is like Brady still had to connect with Randy Moss and Wes. At the end of the day, both of these things, what gives me the thought of, okay, yeah, they cheated, but they're still phenomenal players and phenomenal coaches, and they deserve to get in. You still have to execute. There are lots of guys that got in trouble for steroid use that did nothing with it. Okay?
Yeah.
Shout out Adalberto Mondesi.
100%.
Lest we forget, who got suspended for half a year nearly for using performance-enhancing drugs. And, is he in consideration for the Baseball Hall of Fame? These people were still phenomenal players that, yes, they did something. Belichick, they did something wrong, and I don't discount that. And they deserve to have that as a mark against them forever. But Barry Bonds is arguably the greatest player to ever pick up a baseball bat.
Yeah.
He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
I'm with you on that argument, and I agree with that. Like, people say, he was a Hall of Famer without the steroids. Yes, but what I come back to then is, so why did he take steroids?
Yeah, as a way to, obviously as a way to extend his career.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
More
I
than
think
anything
I
else.
think the gain in name notoriety, in money, in accolades outweighs the benefit of not being able to say I'm a Hall of Famer. You're still the greatest of all time. I think he's the best hitter of all time. I do. But I think he gained things at other people's expense, like contract money, like wins, like accolades and titles and things of that nature at Hank Aaron's expense specifically. If without steroids, he doesn't break that record. So I don't feel bad for Barry Bonds when I'm still sitting here saying, yeah, he's the greatest hitter I've ever seen. He's just doesn't have his face on the wall in the Hall of Fame. I don't know.
913-586-7965 is our number. More coming up. How about the Bills making a head coaching hire? The Browns making a head coaching hire as well. And the Denver Broncos was sort of a head-scratching move just after they got to an AFC championship game. We'll talk about that next here on After Hours. Logan Weber alongside my producer tonight, Nathan Williams. Stick around. We're here till 9 o'clock tonight on your home for Kansas City sports, 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
This is Kevin Harlan, and I'm here with Rob Seid of Rob Seid Ford. Fresh off a record-breaking year and a successful run at Ford's 2025 Top Volume Award. Rob, how did you do it?
Kevin, it's simple. We pulled out all the stops on price, on trade values, on inventory, and made sure our customers got an experience they couldn't find anywhere else.
Well, the race isn't over. 2026 is here, and you're back in the chase again.
That's right, and we're going even harder this year. More inventory, more aggressive trade-in values, and a buying experience other dealers just can't match.
Well, you're not just talking, you've got the receipts. Kansas City's only top-rated Ford dealer on Google, 4.8 stars with nearly 3,000 reviews. Voted best car dealership in Kansas City by KC Magazine.
The recognition matters, but what actually matters is how you feel when you call or visit Rob Seid Ford.
Inventory, value, transparency, and no pressure. That's why people keep coming back.
Come see us at 135th and State Line or visit us online at robsight.com.
Rob Seid Ford. Buy right. Drive happy.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me.
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker.
Yes.
Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this. Let's go.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. The final chance to place your bets before the NFL season closes its tab. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel's making sure you're in on it. If you're a new customer, bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or you're building one last same-game parlay, make it count. Because after the Super Bowl, the season's over, and football is officially done. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel Sportsbooks, the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First, online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can test your sports IQ in real time with Robinhood Prediction Markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions all game long. You know the game. Put it to use. Trade every play with Robinhood. Download the app today. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues with UFC 325 live from Australia. Catch featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski in a rematch of his epic title fight against Diego Lopez, and the always dangerous Dan Hooker throws down with dynamic finisher Benoit Saint Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown. UFC fans, pay-per-view just got knocked out. Catch UFC 325 on Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus. Stream every fight live with one subscription. Visit ParamountPlus.com/UFC to get started.
This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
After Hours, 96.5 The Fan. Logan Weber here with you alongside Nathan Williams producing the show tonight. Talked a lot about Belichick not getting into the Hall of Fame in his first go. Couldn't believe that I had to spend an hour on a show in Kansas City seemingly defending Bill Belichick, but it's a weird year, 2026 all around, and why not add more to it? In other NFL news that I want to get to here quickly, we kind of teased this a couple of times in the first hour of the program. Let's start with what the Buffalo Bills did today, and that is, or I should say yesterday, they did it last night. They have elevated Joe Brady to be their next head coach. I said this before they even fired Sean McDermott, that if the Bills made that decision, you should just make Joe Brady your head coach, hire a new offensive coordinator. Because I imagine Joe Brady is still going to be the play caller for this Bills team. I think that Josh Allen could certainly benefit from an offensive-minded head coach. I believe Joe Brady will probably look for a different defensive coordinator, somebody to lead that unit on the other side, but it also it appears like Jim Leonard is sort of the front runner to become the Bills' next defensive coordinator. He's currently their defensive pass game coordinator. So we'll have to wait and see. I like this move for the Buffalo Bills and for Joe Brady, because it felt to me like if it wasn't going to happen this offseason, Joe Brady was going to be a head coach by the time next offseason came and went. It was going to be that quickly. His name was being thrown around already in NFL circles, interviewing for jobs. And with him getting an interview for this head coaching search, if you would have gone elsewhere, he's out. He's leaving. He may have even entertained the idea of becoming an offensive coordinator somewhere else after that kind of a slight. So I like this idea. He meshes well with Josh Allen, I think. In the last 2 years as the offensive coordinator for this Buffalo team, he led Josh Allen to an MVP season. And this year, James Cook is the league's leading rusher. He's doing good things on that side of the football. The Bills got to figure out what they're going to do defensively. That is the biggest knock against them. That it was that way. It's been that way Josh Allen most of his career, I should say, especially in the postseason. So I honestly like this move from the Buffalo Bills. Much better than the fact that they were entertaining the likes of like Phillip Rivers for this job.
I think the Bills are better off today than they were a week ago. I think Joe Brady will be a better head coach than Sean McDermott. I know we've talked about it at length. I think Sean McDermott was by far and away the worst coach in the NFL. I don't think it's close. I don't think anyone in the NFL gets as many opportunities to sink their own ship in the playoffs as McDermott has. I think he's a terrible in-game coach. Obviously, the players love him. He's a player's coach. They rally around him. From an organizational perspective, I think he was a good coach. I think he knows what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball. I think he was a terrible in-game coach. And I think they're better off with Joe Brady. But how they got there is so freaking funny. Like, you're going to sit there as the owner and throw the coaching staff under the bus. So first of all, you're going to say the GM and the coaching staff had a disagreement about this wide receiver, Keon Coleman. The coaching staff won. Well, first of all, the GM cowed to the coaching staff.
Which is a bad look.
That's not a good look for the GM.
Yeah, who was the offensive coordinator when they cowed to that and drafted an offensive player?
I'm getting there. but like, first, you then promoted the GM who gave in, who said, I don't have a voice. We took a bad player who I didn't want to because I let my coaching staff do it. You promoted that guy. Well, he's weak. He's ineffective, Brandon Beane. I don't know why you would promote him if that's the real story. But then also you turn around and promote one of the coaches that you say strong-armed you and made the wrong decision. How does that work? So the organizational dysfunction that's come out of this whole thing, I take great content in that. And as someone who doesn't like the Bills. But I do think Joe Brady's going to be a much better coach than Sean McDermott was. I think they are better off than they were a week ago. But man, Buffalo, their warts were shown, and I didn't realize they were so large until that press conference.
Yeah, I mean, the whole organization appears to be a contradiction in and of itself, from top to bottom. I mean, you put all this blame and all this onus on Sean McDermott for not doing enough with a roster that wasn't talented enough to do it. You expected Josh Allen to be Superman, despite the fact that he was banged up, despite the fact that he has got a well-documented history of ball security issues, poor decision-making at times, and not being surrounded by enough talent. And that's on Sean I mean, the whole thing reeks of Sean McDermott being a scapegoat, in my opinion. I mean,
organizationally, yes. I still believe he's a terrible in-game coach.
I'm with you.
I'm with you about the organizational scapegoat, 100%.
If you're going to fire Sean McDermott, you should have fired Brandon Beane. Instead of firing Brandon Beane, you not only gave him the promotion and made him the president of football operations, but you let him maintain his title of general manager. Like, it's one thing to be like, hey, man, we're going to make you the president of football ops, but you're not going to be the GM anymore. We're going to bring in somebody else to do that can deal with the day-to-day player personnel sort of things and the drafting and yada, yada, yada. No, now he does both. And take it from somebody who spent half a decade covering the St. Louis Cardinals, which is what I did down in Springfield. That doesn't work out well a lot of the time. Okay? John Mozeliak was one of the best general managers in baseball when he was the GM. But then they made him the president of baseball operations, and he maintained the title of general manager. Things fell apart rapidly. And for somebody like Brandon Beane, who What has he done in the last 5 years in terms of drafting players, which is the main part of a general manager's job?
It's not good, Logan.
It's not good. Outside of James Cook, and I guess you argue like an Ed Oliver or a Greg Rousseau.
Greg Rousseau had to be nearly 5 years ago. Ed Oliver was longer than that. To answer your question about 5 years, Cole Bishop?
Yeah.
Cole Bishop, the safety out of Utah that they picked in the mid-rounds last year?
And I guess, jury's still out, certainly, on some of the guys they drafted this year. But Maxwell Hairston, TJ Sanders, Landon Jackson.
Hairston looks good.
Yes, he does. Elite speed at the cornerback position. You drafted 2 defensive tackles and a defensive end in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round. Those 3 guys combined for 2 sacks in a combined 32 games. Your 3rd-round pick, Landon Jackson, played in 3 games. Maxwell Hairston played in only 11 because of injury issues, I understand. But, that was not a great draft class. Keon Coleman, that hasn't worked. Cole Bishop has been solid for you. You drafted Ray Davis, Dwayne Carter, who's played in 11 games in 2 years as a 3rd-round pick. Dalton Kincaid, I suppose
solid,
that's been
for the capital they gave up, for
a 1st-round pick in the 25th. Yeah, the 25th overall pick in the 1st round. Osiris Torrance,
good starting guard. Fine.
All right. Dorian Williams, who has not registered a sack in 50 games. Justin Shorter. You drafted Kaiir Elam in the 1st round back in 2022. James Cook, nice. That worked. Terrell Bernard, fairly solid linebacker for this team. Khalil Shakir in the 5th round.
Yeah,
that 2022 class isn't terrible.
That could be it.
Yeah, that's not bad. Gregory Rousseau was 2021.
Okay, so 5 years ago.
And they drafted Spencer Brown in the 3rd round that year.
Okay, the tackle. Okay. Look, not only did they promote the guy, but the guy they promoted to be his head coach is a guy they pre-scapegoated at the same time they scapegoated McDermott. He said, hey, the offensive coaching staff made a bad decision about this player. We're going to promote them to be the head coach. What? If I'm Joe Brady, I know the head coaching job comes with Josh Allen. So you can probably take them to the playoffs and be looked at as a good head coach. And then when Allen moves on, you move on as well. But man, you do not have organizational support. It is Pagula first, and it is Bean second.
Yeah.
And then of course, Josh Allen third. And so that's my other thing is what did Josh Allen do in these meetings that apparently he was going to give his input? Promoted his friend? I think Buffalo, if any organization ever needed to go outside of the organization, amongst the ones that have a chance at success, Buffalo needed a fresh set of eyes more than almost anyone that I've ever seen. These guys have talked more about the 13-second game that happened 4 years ago than I ever thought possible. These guys are in their heads about the playoffs. It is a boogeyman for them. So I really think they needed an external hire. But that being said, I do think Joe Brady is one of those hot young names, and rarely do you get to keep that guy in-house.
Yeah.
So, they arrived at the right place, but, they have so many more problems.
They're going to have to find – they are going to have to be surgical in who they surround him with. Absolutely surgical in terms of defensive coordinator, in terms of an offensive coordinator. He has got to be surrounded by guys that can help him elevate. And I think those have to be external hires. I don't love the idea of Jim Leonard as the defensive coordinator of this team because your passing defense was horrific last year. Yeah, I know there were injuries and yada, yada, yada. But even if you do all of that and you put the team in a better place, lest we forget, the Buffalo Bills, very similar to the Kansas City Chiefs, are in cap purgatory right now. And despite the fact that the Bills made the playoffs and the Chiefs didn't, it still feels like the Chiefs are in a better place than the Buffalo Bills are, which is bizarre to say. 913-586-7965 is our number. When we come back, we'll talk about what the Cleveland Browns did as well as what the Denver Broncos did. The Browns hiring a coach, the Broncos firing one, and no, it wasn't Sean Payton. That's next here on After Hours. Logan Weber here with you alongside producer Nathan Williams on 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Hi, I'm Tom Shane. Since 1929, Shane Company has helped millions of customers find their dream engagement ring. I still hand-select every ruby and sapphire center stone, choosing each one for its unique color and life. We're proud to offer the widest selection of beautiful colored gemstones for your engagement ring and fine jewelry, because a friend wants you to have nothing but the best. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
When you choose CertaPro Painters, you're not just hiring a service, you're partnering with a trusted local professional with over 70,000 five-star reviews to make your house feel like home. And that's exactly why we chose CertaPro Painting for all of our painting needs and why our friends and family have done the same. Each CertaPro painter is independently owned and operated right here in Kansas City. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-284-1238. 800-284-1238. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-284-1238.
Did you know we have an Instagram channel? MVP Monday, Chiefs Take Tuesday, Best Bets, Fantasy Football Advice, and real-time updates during Chiefs games. Get behind-the-scenes content from all the guys on a daily basis. It's exactly why Instagram was created, to look at a bunch of 30-year-old dudes giving sports opinions. Kansas City's FM sports station and your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Coaching moves around the NFL. On top of the Bills elevating Joe Brady to be their next head coach, they gave him a 5-year deal. I will also add to that, which is kind of interesting. I mean, most of the time, 5-year deals have become pretty customary, but I thought for a first-time head coach, they might give him 4 years.
I mean, the rumor is Josh Allen and Sean McDermott haven't seen eye to eye for a few years. Brady is Allen's guy.
100%.
You know, we left off the conversation in the last segment about that. I don't mean to hijack where you were going, but like if this thing turns sour too, I mean, Allen could be requesting a trade in 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? I think Buffalo probably sees them as pretty them and Bean and Pagula as like pretty interlocked. And I think if Brady is unsuccessful, the whole thing is going up in flames. So I don't think the years matter to Buffalo. Like if we don't win, we've got much larger problems.
I mean, that whole organization feels like it's at the beck and call of Josh Allen. Like, maybe more so than even the Chiefs are with Patrick Mahomes. Like, Josh Allen was in these meetings. He was in these interview rooms for these head coaches, presumptive head coaches that they were thinking about hiring. That, I mean, their entire organization is predicated upon Patrick Mahomes. Brandon Beane still has a job because he drafted Josh Allen. So, I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic that's going on there in Buffalo for an organization that has accomplished next to nothing with him at the quarterback position. On top of the Buffalo Bills, the Cleveland Browns have made a head coaching hire. They have brought in Todd Monken as their next head coach. Monken most recently was the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens under John Harbaugh. The expectation was that he was actually going to follow Harbaugh to the New York Giants if he didn't get a head coaching job. lest we see, he is now the lead man of the Cleveland Browns. He has been a part of this organization before. He was the offensive coordinator back in 2019 in Cleveland under Freddie Kitchens. At 60 years old, the man is a first-time head coach. That is an interesting dynamic. There are now, how many head coaching openings are still available in the NFL? Or is the Dolphins' job still open?
No, we're down to the Cardinals and the Raiders, I believe.
Okay.
Because there was 3 left. The Browns then hired Monken. So I think, just the Raiders and the Cardinals.
The Dolphins hired Halfley, right? Jeff Halfley?
Yes. And so we'll see if one of these Rams coordinators gets one of these jobs now that they're out. I think they could pick up steam. I don't really know who the hotshot coach is outside of them. I mean, even like Brian Dable is going to Tennessee to be the OC. Like, it dried up quick. Like, we're looking at like Brian Flores type. I mean, it's getting to be scary.
I've heard
hours.
Grant Yadinsky's name thrown around. I know he was a candidate.
Jacksonville OC?
Yes, he's the OC in Jack. I know he was a candidate for the Bills job. The reports are, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, that Shieldhouse is going to stay with the Rams in 2026. So it doesn't sound like he's going anywhere.
Good for him.
Is kind of surprising. I mean, he's not even the OC, he's the pass game coordinator there, correct?
Yeah, and then he would step up if Mike LaFleur takes
Right.
the Cardinals job or the Raiders job. But I just the Browns, another team that I think I agree with their decision making here to the extent they had one, because not many coaches wanted to be the head coach of the Browns. We know the futility of that organization, and we know the decision-making isn't yours, right? Like they said, we have to have Jim Schwartz as our DC. You don't get to pick your DC. Now, Jim Schwartz has done really well. Like, I think the Browns should keep Jim Schwartz, but more than that, they need a guy that can come in and execute his vision because they haven't had that. So, I think Monken will be a fine head coach, nothing special. He'll probably get 2 or 3 years, and then they'll move on to the next one. But he reeks of a guy like maybe where EB was a few years ago. Like, hey, I'm not getting the head coaching calls. It's time to either jump around as an OC or take a really bad head coaching job. And so it kind of just seems like two parties that were desperate.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's sort of what that's what it would feel like for anybody that would take the Cardinals job. That's what that feels like to me, right? Like, of the 2 remaining jobs, the Raiders job is enticing in a way because you've got good young weapons on offense, with Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers. I like Trey Tucker as a wide receiver there in Las Vegas. And you're about to have the number 1 overall pick, which is going to be Fernando Mendoza. So you'll have building blocks there for you. The defense has some good pieces around it. You're sort of out of this weird salary cap situation. But the Cardinals have none of that. Like, their defense is terrible. Bottom 6 in the league in yards allowed and points per game allowed, with no really viable young superstar weapons outside of maybe Will Johnson at the cornerback position. Offensively, you don't have a quarterback. You're not going to draft a quarterback with the 3rd overall pick. You're out of your mind in this draft class to take a quarterback 3rd overall. So you're going to have no answer there. You're either going to roll with Kyler Murray again, unless they're trying actively to trade him. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Your best player is a tight end, and there's nobody else on this roster, seemingly.
I like what the Cardinals have offensively, and I am going to hate on Kyler Murray a little bit, but, man, like Marvin Harrison, maybe he's a bust. I think he's fine. I think Wilson's a fine receiver. I think they have a great tight end. They have a good young pair of offensive tackles. It comes down to Kyler, Yeah. So when you're putting the Raiders in them as the final 2 jobs and asking which one is better, definitely the Raiders, because you can point to Mendoza and say that's the quarterback we're riding with. Not even close. 100%. I take him over Kyler Murray, over any quarterback the Cardinals would get at 3, any free agent quarterback. Maybe Daniel Jones. I think he's probably going to end up in Pittsburgh with McCarthy. That's just sort of my read on the situation.
You don't think Indy will give him a long-term deal?
Yeah, if the Colts don't keep him. So it comes down to, do you think you can get anything out of Kyler Murray? If you think he can be an average quarterback and just stay healthy, man, get a defensive guy in there. I think the Cardinals can be a fine team. I do. Not fine as in grand, but fine as in 9-8. I don't think they're so far close to rock bottom like it's like the Raiders roster is. But man, the quarterback question is just so large. I'd rather have the Raiders job.
I'm completely in agreement. The only other big story out of the NFL today was the Denver Broncos. Last night announced that they were firing their offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi. This after they lost in the AFC title game to New England. Sean Payton said after the game the offense didn't do enough to earn a Super Bowl trip. On top of that, Kiri Colbert, their wide receivers coach, and even Addison Lynch, the cornerbacks coach for the Denver Broncos, were fired. I don't really understand firing the cornerbacks coach for Denver. I mean, Riley Moss has really morphed into a solid cornerback two in this league. Many would say that Pat Surtain is the best cornerback in football, and yet you fired the coach of that position group. Where does Denver go from here? Well, let me answer this, okay? Because I don't think there's going to be a massive search for who the Broncos offensive coordinator is going to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Davis Webb. He is their passing game coordinator. I know his name was floated around a lot for offensive coordinator jobs, even some head coaching jobs. I know Romo and Nance talked at length about it during Sunday's broadcast. I imagine that's exactly where they're going to go. Davis Webb's going to get promoted to the offensive coordinator position. Apparently, he and Bo Nix have a really solid relationship, and he's been very, very impactful in Bo's development over the first 2 years. I'm a little bit surprised about the speed with which this happened, but I mean,
when I look at it in just the firing of Lombardi, I think a couple of things. One, did they think they were going to do anything more than they did? Just as a whole on the season, are they unhappy with where they ended? You can't be, based on where the organization has been for the last decade. You can't say that the 1 seed and going to the AFC Championship game is a failure. Two, do we think the offense has another step that this guy wasn't fulfilling? Like, do we think Bo Nix and this honestly well below average cast of weapons that he has had another gear to it that we didn't reach? I don't
either.
Third, I think, isn't it Sean Payton's baby a little bit too? Kind of like it is here in Kansas City. So I really, really struggle to understand the firing of Lombardi until I come back to Davis Webb. It has to be a situation where this guy was going to get a job as someone else's OC and they wanted to keep him in-house. It has to be as simple as that. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
No, not in my view, it doesn't. I mean, I see some of it, right, where it's like the Broncos they had the best offensive line in football this year. By any metric you could possibly look at, the Denver Broncos had the best starting five of any offensive line in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Without question. You've got a solid wide receiver one in Cortland Sutton. You brought Evan Ingram over from Jacksonville as a solid tight end piece. I don't think he's a top 10 tight end in this league, but he's solid. He's 770 catches, 800 yards, 5 scores, sort of ho-hum, middle-of-the-pack tight end. Outside of that, what do you have? I mean, Lil Jordan Humphrey is coming along, I guess, a little bit, but the running back room...
Jordan Humphrey. Like, what are we doing?
Exactly my point. The running back room is... I like R.J. Harvey. I think he's got potential. He can make guys miss, but he's a rookie. You lost your starting running back to an injury at the beginning of the year. It feels like a lot to put on an offensive coordinator unless, like we're saying, they were fearful that Davis Webb was going to be given an opportunity elsewhere.
My God.
That's what it has to be.
The lineman that caught the touchdown in the divisional round is like their third best receiver. Like there's nobody on that roster. Just off the cuff, 1 through 32, where does that offense rank in the NFL in your mind? Just go. Just throw a number out.
The Broncos?
Yeah, 1 through 32. Because I'm like 23.
Yeah, that's literally the number that was in my head, was 23.
20s,
yeah,
right?
like 22, 23.
How are we firing an offensive coordinator if we think they have the 23rd best cast of weapons on offense?
Yeah.
It has to be because of Davis's relationship with Bo Nix and Sean Payton and them believing that he's a more important voice in that room. Otherwise, I really do not understand. Because, you cannot say Joe Lombardi failed with what he had to work with.
No. I mean, you lost by 3 points in an AFC championship game with a backup quarterback.
Jarrett freaking Stidham.
With Jarrett Stidham at quarterback in a blizzard in the second half of that football game. And the worst decision that was handed down in that football game did not come from Joe Lombardi. It came from Sean Payton when he decided to go for it with a backup quarterback on 4th and 1, already up 7 with a chance to make it a 2-score game.
And I will take the opportunity to pile on Sean Payton. The team could have executed, and it looks like if that second field goal wasn't blocked, it was going in. But then he chose to kick in a snowstorm. When I'm sitting here thinking no one's making a kick again. If they score a touchdown, they're not kicking it. Like, that's how bad these elements are. We saw the other attempts that weren't blocked in the snow and how bad they were. Like, so then we are kicking instead of going forward on 4th and short when you can't even see the field goal posts.
Yeah.
Okay, Sean Payton. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, when the conditions are fine, let's go for it. But when the conditions for kicking are horrendous, now let's kick it.
So we're chasing points against Drake May, who barely beat C.J. Stroud with like half a dozen turnovers. When Jarrett Stidham's our quarterback and we have the best pass rush in football, it just, it was just an awful decision.
Yeah. Someone in the text line said, Logan, I appreciate your positivity, but Ingram had 50 catches for 461 yards and 1 touchdown. Right, this year.
I think that's our point, though.
But I'm saying, look back to his first 2 years in Jacksonville. 73 catches, 766 yards, and 4 touchdowns. In 2023, he had 114 catches, 963 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
He's a beast.
Right? I think 70 catches, 800 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns. That's around where you're looking for Evan Ingram.
You wanted to say 700 yards so bad. Evan Ingram being your
the second time you brought
target.
it up, Nathan. I won't let you forget
Every time you're close to it, I'm going to bring it up. But I think the argument is, because the 785 is right, but Evan Ingram being your number 1 weapon on offense, you are not a good offense at all. It's like the Titans. Like, name a receiver on the Titans. They've got Chigoziem Okonkwo, fantastic, very solid tight end. Can make a play, big on 3rd down, like still has room to grow in this league. If he's your number 1 weapon, like, you've got some problems.
Yeah. It's not always good when your tight end is your number 1 option.
And he's an average tight end at that.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, even when you've got a star tight end, it's not always great. I will point you to, the first 5 years of Andy Reid and Travis Kelce in Kansas City. And how about this season in Kansas City? Travis Kelce was the number 1 option. At 35, 36 years old, he was still the number 1 option. And you saw how that turned out. Tight ends can be a huge factor in this league. Look at the 49ers. They have a great deal of success with George Kittle as their number 1 option. But they also have a superstar in Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. They've had weapons like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. And, now you've got Jawan Jennings coming into the fore and Ricky Pearsall. They've surrounded them with solid pieces. The Broncos have to find a way to do that. Cortland Sutton is solid. Evan Ingram is solid. But your running back room, ho-hum. The other wide receivers, less than ho-hum, in my opinion. The offense for the Broncos definitely did not do enough. There is no question about it. They got carried by a historically great defense. This feels to me like you fired your offensive coordinator to make room for your passing game coordinator who you were afraid was going to leave. And maybe, just maybe, because Sean Payton is a guy who is unwilling to relinquish play calling duties, maybe Joe Lombardi had an issue with that. There may have been a butting of heads there, that Lombardi felt like he should be more involved in the game plan, more involved in the play calling, and Sean Payton and him had a tete-a-tete or several of them about that.
Man, and both your last 2 points, one about a tight end leading your offense and one about a head coach not relinquishing play calling duties, you are coming very close to touching a nerve.
Yes,
very
I know.
close.
I'm sorry. It was not intentional. I promise. 913-586-7965. More to get to, including some college basketball news, even some NBA. I know we talked about the NBA earlier with the LeBron James seeing him live story, but there is an NBA superstar right now that it sounds like could be arriving in a new home in the next week that could really shake up the league as a whole. We'll discuss that coming up here on After Hours. Logan Weber alongside Nathan Williams. This is 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Hi there, I'm Charlie.
And I'm Carter.
Our dad is Rex with Rex Buys KC.
If you're thinking about selling a home in Kansas City and don't know where to start, our dad can help.
Sometimes life throws curveballs, like moving for a new job, dealing with a divorce, or inheriting a house you weren't expecting.
Dad doesn't just make offers, he talks with people to help them understand all of their options. No pressure, and it doesn't cost anything to talk with his team.
He's a local home buyer who really knows Kansas City. If selling to him is the right choice, he'll give you a fair cash offer, and you can close on your timeline even in as little as 7 days.
He buys homes in any condition. No need for repairs, no fees, no surprises.
Just an honest, easy process so you feel good about your decision.
Want to talk to him? Call 816-330-6000 or go to rexbuyskc.com. Rex Buys KC, helping people make smart choices one home at a time.
Hey, y'all. It's the Rocket Roger Clemens here. I spent years on the mound giving everything I had, and now I feel every inning in my knees, back, and shoulders. But I didn't want surgery, and I sure didn't want to be sidelined. That's why I turned to QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics Medical Director Dr. Christie and his team use regenerative treatments that help your body heal itself. No surgery, no meds, and no downtime.
Whether you're teeing off at the club or chasing the grandkids around, QC Kinetics helps you get back to doing what you love.
Call QC Kinetics now and schedule your free consultation. Natural joint pain relief with real results.
Don't let the pain slow you down. I didn't, and neither should you. My friends at QC Kinetics, they'll take care of you.
Call QC Kinetics today and schedule your free consultation. QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Call Hamilton today for our $79 mainline drain cleaning special. The pros at Hamilton will inspect your drains with video camera technology to pinpoint exactly what is needed to clear those clogs and help prevent expensive drain repairs. The expert technicians at Hamilton are ready 7 days a week to solve your problem the right way, the first time. Over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 five-star reviews are great reasons to trust Hamilton. Visit callhamilton.com/radio for details, terms, and conditions.
License number 2025-11121. DQ presents the Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy, bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve, plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary.
At Straight Talk, we get it. You say no a lot.
Mom, can I get a tarantula?
No.
Coffee?
No. So we're giving you more reasons to say yes, like a free 5G phone with real unlimited data with select plan activation.
Can I use the free phone?
Yes. See? Doesn't it feel good to say yes to more?
Absolutely. Face tattoo?
Absolutely not. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Taxes and fees apply. In-store activation of Gold Unlimited plan or higher required. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
If you're a Kansas State basketball fan and you are a Jerome Tang supporter, you may just take the opportunity, listen to something else for 4 minutes, turn your radio dial on mute, and get on your phone for a little while.
No, I think if you're still a Tang supporter, you need to face the music.
It's time. He needs to go. It is not good in Manhattan. Okay, I mean, it starts with the loss last night, obviously. You're up 4 at the with 4 minutes to go in the game, and you completely fall apart. You end up losing by 5 in a road game that you were on the verge of winning. You had them in this game. And, I mean, it fell apart on you. You're up 49-45 with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left. And you end up giving up a 12-5 run to close it out. Or I should say 14-5 run in order to lose this game by 5 points. K-State is now 10-11 on the year. They are 1-7 in conference play. Their biggest factor is their offense. That's how they've been able to win games this year. Their defense has been lackluster at best most of the time. Last night, their defense was solid. West Virginia only scored 59 points. You held them to 42% from the floor. You did your job. You played without fouling, which was another important part last night. I mean, West Virginia only shot 9 free throws. The problem was your offense was bad last 38% from the floor. They were 8 of 25 from behind the arc. PJ Haggerty, who, in fairness, is your offense, 6 of 19 shooting yesterday. And then you have this bizarre after the game discussion with the media where Jerome Tang basically blamed the NCAA for why the team is struggling. He was asked about the struggles of playing in the Big 12 and why the team hasn't had a winning record since his first year with the team when they made that NCAA tournament run and kind of took, grabbed the hearts of everybody in the country in March. But he said that I haven't figured it out yet because they keep changing the rules on me. Once they get the rules set, then I can have a consistent plan. What? So you're blaming the NCAA for why things are messed up right now while also advocating for let's just, let me keep doing this until the NCAA, finally puts something in place and then see what I can do. Hey, buddy, that's not how it works. That's no. And guess what? You're not the only one playing by these rules, man. Everybody else is too. You can't use that excuse, okay? You sound like a Buffalo Bills fan is what you sound like. It's these rules, man. These rules are bad. The rules need to be different. The rules need to be better. They need to be in my favor. And then they change the rules and you still lose. And it's like, but the rules still aren't where they need to be. Dude, come on.
Josh Allen's played in 7 overtime games, scored 3 points, and touched the ball in 6 of those 7 games. He didn't touch the ball once, and the rule got changed. I digress. I feel like college coaches have gotten way too used to since COVID and since NIL blaming the system for their failure. And a lot of times, I can at least see where they're coming from. But I feel like it's just a default now, like as a last step before a successful coach like Saban retires or Coach K retires or a guy like Tang tries to desperately cling to a job. This is what you hear. And I think it's tired. I think it's wrong. This program, and what is this, year 4?
Yeah.
He's been around for, it's unacceptable at this point. And not to mention, it's not just a lack of growth like we've lamented at like Mizzou down the way. It is a team that made a run early on in Jerome Tang's stint and has just progressively just been perennially in the bottom half of that conference ever since. So it's beyond time for him for them to move on.
I mean, yeah, his first year at K-State, they went 26-10, right? 11-7 in the Big 12. They got into the dance and they ended up making a run all the way to the Elite Eight. The next year, 19-15, so you still finished with an above 500 record overall, but you went 8-10 in the league and ended up losing in the first round of the NIT. Last year, 16-17 overall, 9-11 in the Big 12, another 9th place finish in the conference, And now this year, you are 10-11, 1-7 in Big 12 play. Mind you, that is 16th in the conference. You will not be making the NCAA tournament, barring the craziest turnaround by a major conference team in college basketball in the last 15, 20 years. And the argument that I hear, about the thing that I keep hearing is like a sort of a pushback about Jerome Tang being let go is his contract, right? Look at his contract. It would cost $18 million to fire him. K-State is stuck with Tang because of his contract. Jerome, I don't buy into that. I really don't. I mean, look around. Just look at college football, for example. Look at the buyouts of some. Look at how much money Penn State gave James Franklin to walk away. Look how much money Florida State, or I shouldn't say Florida State, Texas A&M gave Jimbo Fisher to walk away. I mean, they're sort of playing, like they're budgeting for these buyouts to make it work. I really don't think $18 million to fire Jerome Tang is going to be that large of a deterrent for them. It's not like they're going to have to prepare to maybe buy out a football coach next year. Nope, you got a brand new head coach in Colin Klein this year, and you didn't have to buy out Chris Kleiman in order to make it happen. I don't think an $18 million buyout is going to deter K-State from moving on from Jerome Tang if that is what they decide to do. And in my opinion, I think you need to strongly consider that because they have gotten, it hasn't as if it's been stagnant, right? It's not like they've gone from 26-10 in year one to 19-15 in year two to 20-15 in year three to now this year they're hovering right around that. No, they are getting worse. It is getting worse every single year. And a huge part of that is because it feels like Jerome Tang every offseason is making a big swing at one guy and then filling out the roster with whoever he can find after that. It's giving crazy money to Coleman Hawkins from Illinois. It's giving crazy money to PJ Haggerty this offseason. He looked to be a guy that had the transfer portal figured out in his first year at K-State with that huge run that they went on. But since then, it just hasn't worked. You got to consider moving on. I think you have to. 913-586-7965 is our number. Some Royals and Chiefs news coming up. A couple of stories regarding both. That's next. Keep it here on After Hours. Logan Weber, Nathan Williams, 96.5, The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
At Casey's, when someone asked for a cup of coffee that wouldn't put them in debt, but still had freshly ground beans, rich flavor, and a price that starts with a 9 and ends with a D9 cents, we were too nice to say no. Now get a small coffee, just 99 cents. Limited time only. See store for details.
Men, the new year is here, and if you're like many of us, you're ready to improve your health. But if you're feeling low energy, not sleeping well, or not seeing results in the gym, keeping that resolution can be tough. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if those symptoms sound familiar, we can likely help. They often point to low testosterone, and treating low T is what we do. But this year, we're also helping men go further with 4 targeted body composition plans featuring growth hormone peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more, designed to boost energy, support metabolism, enhance recovery, and accelerate fat loss. With our low T treatments combined with our body composition programs, most men notice real improvements: more energy, better focus, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and often a renewed sex drive as well. So call us. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the same day, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or visit heartlandmenshealth.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
Hey, it's almost Andy Reid. Who knew dressing up for a Halloween ball would change my life forever? Now I get to celebrate with the best fans and everything Kansas City. Oh, yeah! My journey also led me to Renner Garage Door, Casey's go-to team for garage door repair, replacement, and service since 1956. Renner features an MVP lineup from Delden, Amar, and Liftmaster.
R-E-N-N-E-R, R-E-N-N-E-R. When it comes to affordable term life insurance, everyone's whistling the Big Lou tune. If you're over 50, maybe a bit porky, or have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost about $200 a month. Even if you're not in perfect health, call Big Lou, because he specializes in finding big chunks of affordable term life insurance for just about everyone. Don't let diabetes or other health glitches keep you from owning $500,000 to $1 million or more of term life insurance. For affordable term life insurance, call Big Lou. Don't hesitate. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or visit biglou.com.
Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Visit biglou.com.
Refresh your bathroom with big savings at Lowe's. Reimagine your bathroom with up to 40% off select faucets during our Bath Savings event. Need it today? Order by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Shop for your bathroom refresh at Lowe's. We help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Same-day delivery on eligible in-stock items, subject to availability. Fees vary. Visit Lowes.com/same-day delivery for full terms.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Before we get into some Chiefs and Royals conversation in the 8 o'clock hour, I failed to talk about the other local major conference Division I basketball team that was in action last night. I think most Mizzou fans were hoping that I'd forget. Rough one in Tuscaloosa last night. And maybe that doesn't do it enough justice. Mizzou goes down south and gets worked by the Crimson Tide last night. 90-64. Alabama wins it. 4 starters in double figures for the Crimson Tide. Aiden Sherrill was 16. Charles Bediako, I'm not sure how you pronounce that last name. I apologize. He finished with 14. I know there's a court case surrounding him right now, which is kind of interesting. LeBaron Philin Jr. with 18 points. And Latrell Wrightsell had 21 to lead scoring for the game. Mizzou, a rough offensive night. 39% from the floor. 4 of 21 from the three-point line. And here's the kicker of all kickers, Nathan. Mizzou shot 23 free throws last night. Would you like to know how many they made?
I actually don't know this answer. Let me, just based on the face you're making, I'm going to guess 9.
8.
Oh, my gosh.
8 of 23 at the free throw? Are you kidding me? I mean, dear God, you shot 35% from the free throw line on 23 team attempts.
It's like Memphis in that championship game against Kansas. Good Lord.
I mean, 20. Even if you make all 23, you still lose the game by 20 points.
Right.
But dear God, I mean, that is atrocious on offense. And you pair that with going 4 of 21 at the three-point line. That is a despicable offensive display by Mizzou yesterday.
And aren't we just, and now I'm saying this as a Mizzou fan, aren't we just prolonging the inevitable with this season too? Like these horrible losses, which are not in short supply anymore. You put this, I mean, I know the game last week with the buzzer beaters was fun, but you're putting this uninspiring conference record together. And then who did you
your non-conference schedule's not helping.
Non-con. I mean, like, I think the only teams you played of any notoriety were Notre Dame, Kansas, and Illinois. They all spanked you. I think Illinois beat Mizzou like 175 to like 30, and I'm barely exaggerating.
91
which is the
to 48.
part.
Yeah,
I mean, what? Come on. So, this is a team that was in the next 4 out prior to last night's loss. I mean, it is not looking good.
Right now, Mizzou's best non-conference win. I mean, it will be
like
their
Brown
best.
College or something.
Minnesota was their best non-conference win. Minnesota, who is currently 10-10 on the year and 3-6 in Big Ten play. I'm not going to make fun of Mizzou fans for that being their best win because this is the same Minnesota team that actually beat my Hawkeyes a couple weeks ago. That's disappointing in and of itself. I digress. Yeah, this Mizzou team is going to have to figure it out in a hurry in SEC play if they want any chance at making the NCAA tournament.
I mean, they're realistically looking like a team that needs to advance, win 2 to 3 games in the SEC tournament to even have a chance at a consideration of a bid.
I said last week, I shouldn't say last week. I said on Monday, if you beat Alabama, you might need 21 wins to do it. You might need 22 or 23 now, which is tough as a 14-win basketball team with 10 or 11 games left.
We have 5 weeks left,
in the regular season. Not good. But hey, much more to get to. The Kansas City Royals have made a free agent move. There's also a lot of movement in regards to their stadium plans, non-roster invites for spring training. And in Kansas City Chiefs related news, Eric Bieniemy spoke with the media for the first time since his return to the club. We'll talk about that next here on After Hours. Logan Weber here alongside Nathan Williams. You're listening to 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Well, it's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one final kickoff, your final chance to place your bets before the NFL season closes its tab. This is the 60th Super Bowl, and FanDuel is making sure that you're in on it. If you're a new customer, bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So whether you're backing the favorite, maybe you're riding with the underdog, or you're building that last same-game parlay. So whether you're betting the spread, who's going to win MVP, or who you think's going to find the end zone, FanDuel's got you covered for this year's Super Bowl. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, it's done. Finito. So it's your last call for football this season on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. And visit FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook and the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued non-withdrawal bonus. Entire 7th Street. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband Ryan died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
That's another amazing run by Team USA.
Mom, think I'll be on Team USA one day?
Well,
I'll take this one.
What? Are you speaking to us?
Yes, and to answer your question, anything's possible, especially with Xfinity.
So, I can be the best snowboarder ever?
Well, I can't guarantee that, but Xfinity can guarantee that your internet price won't change for 5 years.
Okay. What if I practice every day?
Then maybe you'll be snowboarding for Team USA at the next Olympic Winter Games. And Mom, you'll still be paying the same price for Wi-Fi.
Ooh, really stuck the landing there.
It's the Xfinity Gold Medal Celebration. Now through February 22nd, get our best price on gig Wi-Fi for 5 years guaranteed, just $50 a month. Plus, get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. That's a $10.99 value per month. Xfinity. Imagine that. Proud partner of Team USA. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary.
Jewelry Graham. Hi, I'm Brian, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. We have just the right gift for your sweetheart this Valentine's Day. Any style, any budget. Like heart-shaped necklaces, birthstones, or hand-matched diamond studs. Getting engaged? Create a dream ring and choose from natural and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes. Come see us in store or at shaneco.com because a friend wants you to win Valentine's Day. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Vern's Hot Stove Show, Thursday nights starting at 6, right here on 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
Eric Bieniemy speaking with the media for the first time since he has been rehired as the Chiefs offensive coordinator. And, you know, there were some interesting pointed comments that he had to make that I found kind of raised your eyebrows a little bit. I'll begin with him discussing, you know, what his plans are in taking over as the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs once again, saying, quote, "We'll be disciplined and detailed in everything in how we handle our business. There's a standard of performance and excellence that will be expected," right? And that kind of goes back to the accountability part of Eric Bieniemy, something that a lot of people were advocating strongly for in bringing him back. So, you know, he sort of understands that and is going to be moving things in that direction, certainly, saying that, speaking about himself in a third person, which is kind of weird. EB is EB. That was an interesting soundbite for sure. Talking about how it was difficult for him to leave Chicago. Said it was a place that felt like home for him. But when Andy Reid calls and says, "Hey, you know, we want you to come back," maybe it's time to return home. And so that's what he does. But maybe the most interesting part that I heard, and I've got the clip here for you. He was asked about his relationship with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the opportunity to potentially work with both of those guys again next year.
A small minimum conversation with both, and they all have been great. But more than anything, it's just the excitement of just reuniting. You know, it was just like when I came here, we came out here and we played them in the preseason. It was great seeing those guys, you know, because I haven't seen them in years. And so it just feels good just to sit down and have conversations with guys. And to be honest, I have not talked any football or anything. It's just the excitement of just seeing each other, asking how they're doing, and making sure everything is good moving forward. But is the excitement high? Yes. Am I fired up? Yes. Do I respect the hell out of both those guys? Yes. So I'm looking forward to getting back in the grind and chopping wood with them.
Chopping wood with them? I thought that was an interesting thing. You know, maybe he's just speaking in generalizations. Maybe it was a Freudian slip of sorts. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, it feels to me like, and maybe this is just my media-trained brain, I don't know, where you're like, yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to the opportunity, you know, to get back in the grind and chop wood with Patrick and potentially even Travis, you know, because there's a retirement consideration still being floated around there with Travis Kelce, right? But I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into the tea leaves. I probably am, in fact. But I just thought that
I don't think so.
I thought that was kind of... that was one that was sort of like run that back at me again?
Was it the week of the Mahomes injury, or was it the first week of the offseason where on the New Heights podcast, Kelsey was saying, I hope the Chiefs get him back by week 1. I hope the Chiefs have a good season next year. At that point, I was like, we're done. It's over. Based on just what my eyes in the locker room have told me this season, adding that sound clip, into it, man, everything since then has trended the total opposite direction. Every clip from the organization, reading the tea leaves of Travis's body language and the words that he's using about the team, about next season, about Mahomes' health, about EB, seems like he wants to keep going. And now he's always said that as long as my body can, I will. Well, Andy Reid has gone as far to say, I believe his body can hold up for another season. Like, it really, really feels like he's going to give this thing one more go.
I would love to see it. I'm sure many Chiefs fans would love to see it. And you're right. I mean, for me, it was that interview that he did with Tony Gonzalez before, would that have been the New Year's game? Or was that the Christmas game? It was the Christmas game, right? Where they sat down and talked with each other, and I'm sitting there listening to it, and I'm like, this feels like he's done. And then since the season ended, it was sort of like he talked a lot on the New Heights podcast about the possibility of being reunited with EB and how excited he was with that, of him coming back to Kansas City. And now it's like, and maybe, this may just come right back and blow up in our faces of like, I guess he is retiring. I don't know.
I guess the moment for me remains the locker room after that Texans game. And I'm not a psychologist, nor am I an expert on the career of NFL players, but just the look on his face.
Yeah.
I remember Brian Cook sitting on the floor, looking longingly at the floor.
Yeah, we were both in that locker room after the game.
Yeah,
it felt like a funeral.
It was bad. Alex Gold likened it to the KU locker room after the UNI loss. So if that gives you context, that's just some of the looks on these guys' faces. I think, was that the night Wanye had his injury too? So it was a scene in that locker room. But a guy like Cook, you could look at that and say, well, he's contemplating his future, right? A guy that we don't think he'll be back here next year. Other guys that are like, dang, we missed a great opportunity. Guys like Karlaftis, McDuffie, Bolton, who know nothing besides Super Bowls. But with Kelsey, it was like, this look concerns me. You know what I mean? And I just carried that with me ever since then. So for me, that was the point that I was the most sure he was retiring. Man, I just like I said a minute ago, I believe that everything since then has pointed to. I know he had the conversation with Gonzalez. Everything since then has moved in a positive direction for me. The 816 brings up chopping wood being a metaphor. Talks about how Travis Kelce being called a redwood in a famous song recently. Maybe chopping wood isn't the best metaphor anymore in that Chiefs locker room. But it is interesting that EB says with those guys. I do read into that.
Yeah, I do a little bit too. Somebody else is suggesting that when Trav does retire, that he'll announce it by saying like, this next season will be my last, sort of like a going away tour. I could see that, especially this person brings up the level of popularity that Travis Kelce has of getting that last hurrah and the I guess some of the pomp and circumstance that comes with that. But I don't know if Travis Kelce is really the pomp and circumstance type. I mean, Jason certainly wasn't. When Jason was done, he was done. That was just it for him.
This is not the final rose Travis Kelce will receive in his life. Like, he's going to be in movies and on television, and he's marrying the most famous woman on the planet right now. Like, he's got a life of pomp and circumstance. If anyone in our world currently has that life, Travis Kelce's pretty high up there in those rankings. So I don't take him as a guy that's going to need that announcement. I also think it's very likely whether he announces a retirement this offseason or next offseason, man, I would not be surprised at all if the following year, around Thanksgiving, around week 12, he does the Gronk thing where like, hey, I'm going to come out for the playoff push. Like, I genuinely think he's going to play until the wheels fall off. And the only evaluation is, are the wheels still in place? I don't think we're going to get an announcement from him.
Yeah, it feels to me like Travis's approach, and this is probably not just his alone. There's a lot of players that you see do this in professional sports, in that and the only thing I can sort of liken it to is, in my own personal life, is like I have run a fireworks stand for quite a few years. You know, I did it when I was in college and then stopped for a few years, and I did it again this last year, where you run this fireworks stand and you sleep in a camper by the tent and you do all this stuff for 2 weeks, and by the time it's over, you're like, that was so hard, that was so grueling, I never want to do that again. And then 3 weeks later, you're like, you know, maybe it wasn't that bad. And then a couple of weeks after that, you're like, it was actually kind of fun. And then by 3 months being removed from it, you're like, yeah, I want to do it again. It just like, this sort of has that feel to it of like, when the season's going on, you get into that late part of the year, especially as grueling a year as this year was for Travis, with him being used, I think, a lot more than was expected from him, just like last year with injuries and suspensions and all these other things flying around him. You lose Patrick, you go 6-11, you miss the playoffs. It's like, God, do I really want to do this again? This year was awful. This year sucked. It was so hard. Let a little bit of time go by. Let your body heal a little bit. Let yourself rest a little bit. And you're like, you know, maybe, I mean, it was a tough year, but maybe it wasn't all that bad. And then another week or two goes by and you're like, you know what? I still love this game. I still think I can play this game. Maybe I will come back and do it again, right? It's just one of those things.
Yeah, the more positive things that come out, like EB's quote, I think about what we saw in the locker room, and I think about it differently. So, like, such as, man, I was leaning towards retirement. And this is all speculation. I was leaning towards retirement, but this season wasn't just a failure. It was negative from start to finish. You're right. Suspensions, injuries that I caused.
Yeah.
You know, as well. Just complete and total dysfunction from start to finish. That's not what I want for myself, right? He's got the status amongst NFL players. He's one of the all-time greats. He'll be a first ballot. Well, maybe not, because no one's a first ballot Hall of Famer anymore. He's going to marry Taylor Swift. He's got a great life. But for myself, I can't walk away from the game with that being the taste in my mouth. I can see that being his mindset. I think a reasonable competitor in his shoes would come away with that. So, yeah, man, as time passes and we haven't heard that he's hanging it up, right? Like, he's a guy that's going to tell the Chiefs prior to free agency. We're going to know this information in the next 6 weeks.
I completely agree.
And as the clock goes on, I think it's more and more likely that it's a yes, I'm back.
Yeah. I honestly think we'll get it a couple of weeks before free agency starts. Because if it is, especially if the decision is retirement, because he loves this organization. He loves his teammates, Coach Reed, Brett Veach. You know, he loves the Kansas City Chiefs, and he is going to want to do everything he can possibly do to ensure that the Chiefs are going to be able to prepare themselves for his departure, right? Hey, you know, free agency starts in 2 weeks. You may be looking towards the draft. I don't know, but you know, I think I'm done. I'm going to officially retire, and that will give the Chiefs ample opportunity to prepare themselves. Hey, we want to go after a tight end in free agency. You know, that day will be like, oh no, Travis retiring. Mixed, like your whole social media feed is going to be Travis is retiring. People are bummed about that. The Swifties are going to be out in full force. It's going to be a mix of that and a bunch of people using AI-generated images of Kyle Pitts in a Chiefs uniform. I guarantee it. That's what that day is going to look like.
Oh, did you see the buzz today on Mahomes' Instagram post? It was liked by Isaiah Likely. One of the first likes on the post, no pun intended, was Isaiah Likely, soon to be ex-Baltimore Raven. Does that tickle your fancy?
Potentially.
I can get an AI-generated picture of him in a Chiefs uniform super
sure
fast.
You can.
Super fast.
I'm sure
just
you
let
can.
me know.
I'm just, you know, he's going to be a cheaper option than Kyle Pitts. I
would rather have Jeremiah Love at 9 than Kyle Pitts on this roster.
Oh.
I am so far anti-Kyle Pitts, it's not funny.
You know, I was on the Kyle Pitts hype train for about 4 years. And then this year, I finally bucked myself from it. I was like, I'm not going to take him. He's sitting there in like the 10th round of my fantasy football league. And I'm like, you know, no, I can't bring myself to do it. And this year is the year where he finally like seemingly puts it all together and does some really good things. It's like,
I mean, puts it all together, was buoyed by a couple of huge games, especially that one in Tampa on Thursday night, I think early December. So what, we're going to give $15 million a year to the guy who was a bust for 4 years and then had 2 good games this year? Yeah, pass. I'm good on Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, he had four games this season where he amassed over 70 receiving yards and only 2 where he amassed over 90, that being a 90-catch game against the Seahawks on December 7th, and then the aforementioned Buccaneers game, 11 grabs, 166 yards, and 3 of the 5 receiving touchdowns he had the entire season. I can't help but look at the guy and think he's a unicorn. He's an athletic freak that maybe the Falcons just simply aren't using him properly. And I have to imagine, I can't get out of my brain the possibilities of what Andy Reid could morph Kyle Pitts into.
I mean, keep dreaming, I guess.
Fair.
I am so not interested. And this is the guy that also has murmurs have gotten out about his knowledge of the playbook and his effort and how much he loves the game, which I don't know if there's anything to substantiate these things. I'm not out here making a claim that Kyle Pitts is low effort. I've just heard those things in NFL circles. There are so many red flags with this guy. Some team, some sucker. I don't know who it is. It's going to be a team in the ilk of teams we talked about earlier, like the Broncos, the Titans. Now those teams do have tight ends, but a team that's desperate for a pass catcher is just going to just screw over their future self and giving this guy a 3-4 year contract in the upper teens. And I can't wait to see who it is.
I apologize for somehow turning this conversation into a Kyle Pitts hypothetical in a Chiefs uniform. That is not what my intention started out as. We were talking about Eric Bieniemy returning to the team, and one of the more interesting comments that he made was talking about a conversation he had with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and that he was looking forward to, quote, getting back in the grind and chopping wood with them, seemingly in reference to the 2 guys he was talking about, Pat and Trav.
We'll have that redwood, man.
But no, veto.
Hey, tell EB that, man. EB is EB. You got to tell him that.
Talking about yourself in a third person with the media is crazy work, but I digress.
I like the beard Eric Bieniemy is rocking, though. I really like the look.
A little bit of a grandpa beard he's got working there. It's nice. It's nice. It's a little different than what Big Red's got going on with the mustache. It's kind of interesting.
I like it. Yeah, if you put those together, you'd have Santa Claus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Somebody in the text line, we'll get to a break here in just a second, said, I want to see Trav back one more year, too, but should the Chiefs really be paying a 37-year-old tight end 8 figures when they need so many other things? Fair. That is a fair point you raise, and that's going to be another interesting part of this. If Travis is going to come back and play for this Kansas City Chiefs team, he is a free agent. You are going to have to enter into a contract negotiation with him. What do you pay him? Because this cuts both ways. I mean, you look at Travis Kelce throughout his career, the argument exists, and I frankly believe it's the only argument, that he has been, for the majority of his career, wildly underpaid for his services. I mean, listen, you look at his career earnings, the last 2 years, he made $17 million and $17 and a quarter. Prior to that, I mean, he didn't make an 8-figure salary until 2021, his age 32 season.
That's bonkers.
11.8, 10.5, 12.1, and then the last 2 years, 17 and 17 and a quarter. I guess in 2016, his fourth year of his rookie deal, he made 10.6, but 3.5, 8 million, 8.75, 9.3. He's been pretty underpaid throughout his career.
Well, he has, and Patriots fans, for example, use he's a receiver, not a tight end. We're talking about a guy that from 2017 or so until 2022, 2023 is amongst the best pass catchers in football, not just tight ends, best pass catcher, as valuable as the best wide receiver to a football team. And the Chiefs got off paying him like a tight end that whole time. They've gotten a bargain out of him. I'm not going to sit here and say Travis Kelce's hurting for money. I don't think they owe him anything, but I also don't think he's going to come back and play for peanuts next year. I think it'll cost $10 million to have him on your team next year.
I mean, think about this. This is the highest paying salary that Travis Kelce has ever amassed in his career. And he was still only the 3rd highest paid tight end in football the last couple of years. George Kittle gets bigger money. Trey McBride is getting more money now. He's the third highest paid tight end in football at this point in his career, and this is the most he's ever made. It's fascinating to look at that. I mean, you look around the league, Cole Kmet is making an average of 12.5 a year. Should Travis Kelce be making more money than Cole Kmet? I would argue so.
He should.
David Njoku is making $3.7 million a year on his contract. Should Travis be making more than David Njoku? I would argue yes.
Heck yeah.
Where do we go for, so that what we're going to pay Travis Kelce $14 million when you have to consider re-signing Jalen Watson, when you have to consider possibly re-signing Brian Cook? You're already in such a difficult situation in terms of your cap space as it stands right now.
I agree, and with you and the texter, but like, what if the Chiefs don't have Kelce on their team next year? They need another pass catcher. They must have one. I'd argue they need another one, even with Rice and Worthy. Even they bring Thornton back. I want them to go out and either spend 8 figures on a receiver or pick one in the first 2 rounds. If you don't have Kelce, that's up there with edge as like it's your priority of the offseason. If you could sign a free agent, Jawan Jennings, and give him 800 yards penciled in for next year and 5 touchdowns, he's going for over $10 million on the open market. Like, it's just kind of the going rate. And so Kelce is not what he used to be, but I don't think he's overpaid for his value now. I agree with the texter. The tight end is not the biggest need.
No.
But that's what players of his caliber are going to demand, and he's Travis Kelce. So I think he's back here on a 10, maybe up to $12 million contract next year.
We shall see. Logan Weber alongside Nathan Williams. You're listening to After Hours. Our text line, 913-586-7965. I've got a handful of Royals stories to get to here. When we come back, you're listening to 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. And Doug.
Oh, what a horrible call. Hey, ref, open your eyes.
Ref, you're really not going to call that? Come on.
Hey, ref, why don't you customize your car insurance with Liberty Mutual and save money?
I don't think you get what we're doing.
Sure I do. We're all just giving him advice. You guys on sports, me on saving money.
Nope, that's not it.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Football's biggest game is right around the corner, and you can get in on the action with Underdog right now in Missouri. Not an Underdog yet? Well, then you're in luck, because new customers score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5 fantasy entry. Playing an Underdog is easy. Just head to the app, make all the entries on if a player will go higher or lower on the game, like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. Get them right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Plus, new promos dropping daily in the app, so if you like making entries and winning money, then Underdog is your place for the big game. What are you waiting for? Download the app today and use promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5 on fantasy. That's promo code TAPP. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing terms. _DFS_.html for details. Concern with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
I'm worth more.
I'm worth a little more.
I'm worth a lot more.
I completely agree. You are worth more, and your car's worth more, and we want to pay more at GiveMeTheVin.com for good cars, because they are worth more, and so are you. And remember, if I don't beat the price on a CarMax or a Carvana deal, I'll pay you $100. For top price, trust, and ease of transaction, GiveMeTheVin.com, America's best car buyer.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
I wish I'd gotten treated for my erectile dysfunction sooner. Men, I hear this all the time from our patients. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if ED is a problem in your life, resolve to get it treated today and stop having it affect you and the one you love. ED is simply a medical condition, and it's fully treatable. And at Heartland Men's Health, we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. which means if you're like most guys, your ED will be a thing of the past. In fact, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and you'll likely find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. It's the new year. Resolve to get your ED treated and change your life. Call us at Heartland Men's Health. Your initial visit is only $99. It includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices, Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Hey, it's Dusty Likens, and on behalf of everyone here, I want to thank you for listening to another season of Chiefs football right here on 96.5 The Fan. Although the season didn't go as planned, we saw record listenership these last 6 months, and that's all thanks to our listeners and Chiefs Kingdom. Our coverage will not change these next couple of months as we get you ready for a busy offseason starting with the Combine, free agency, and the NFL Draft. Stay up to date with us on YouTube, Instagram, the Odyssey app, or right there in your car. This is your home for Chiefs football, 96.5 The Fan.
Several Royals stories to go over here. We begin quickly with maybe the least of these stories in terms of its overall importance. The Royals announced yesterday evening or afternoon the 25 non-roster players that have been invited to spring training, many of whom were pitchers, A.J. Causey, Dennis Collarin, Jose Cuas, Chaz Martinez, Frank Mazzucato got himself a non-roster invite to spring training. Hector Neris, the same thing. The Royals just signed him on Monday, a former reliever. He's had some good years in his career, but has certainly faltered as of late.
Nice pun, considering the Royals pitching staff. Good one.
Helcris Olivares, Shane Panzini, Hunter Pattison, and the newest signing of the Kansas City Royals, this one was announced today, Aaron Sanchez, former all-star pitcher in Major League Baseball, but hasn't pitched in the big leagues since 2022 as a member of the Washington Nationals and Minnesota Twins. He was an all-star back in 2016, going 15-2 with a 3 ERA on the button. He finished 7th in the Cy Young voting that year. But since then, it's sort of been a ho-hum level trajectory. Only pitched in 15 games in that 2022 season, 10 starts. He amassed a 6.60 ERA. He spent last year, I believe, in Puerto Rico, where he was pitching. He signed a minor league deal, non-roster invite to spring training. He was in the Dominican Winter League most recently, where he had a 1.55 ERA over 46 and a third innings. More likely than not, he's going to end up a AAA guy in the event of injuries. He serves as rotational depth for this Royals team, but we've been waiting to see the Royals do anything with outfield bats, and instead they just keep signing recycled veteran pitchers.
Yeah, well, it got super scary last year when Dallas Keuchel and Dick Hill were your starters in, I think, late July. So you're always going to need starting pitching depth. You can never have too much of it, even though I do think the Royals have plenty of starting pitching. I mean, as currently constructed, you probably have, 4 guys that are not in the rotation that would be up before Sanchez, like Bergard and Kolek and Avila and probably Bailey Falter. So starting pitching depth, like to what extent? Like he might get a spot start here or there. Look, I'm not going to get too upset about internal starting pitching depth, but yeah, I would love to see them use one of these arms and a guy from their farm, if necessary, to go make another acquisition in the outfield, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic, and how dare you disparage the good name of Rich Hill and his alter ego, Dick Mountain.
Dick Mountain, yes, sir.
Shout out to that guy.
Uh-huh.
Several catchers invited to spring training, like a lot. Jorge Alfaro was invited, Canyon Brown, Omar Hernandez, Eli Marrero, Blake Mitchell, Ramon Ramirez, and Luca Tresh. It's quite a few. Only 2 outfielders received non-roster invites, Gavin Cross and Carson Rocafort.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me is going to be whether or not they carry a third catcher. They did it a lot of last season with Luke Maley. He was around quite a bit. I would imagine that the team would trend towards that when you're going to have, like, this team is just in such a weird spot where they have 2 catchers they would trust DHing. And I use trust in air quotes because, like, we don't know what Jensen is going to project into this year. But if the team succeeds, he will be, he will have a solid season. He will bloom into the player we think he looked like in September of last year. What I'm getting at, though, is one guy is going to be catching and the other one will be DHing between Jensen and Salvador Perez as currently constructed. That's this lineup. So, like, what happens if a catcher gets hurt? You're forfeiting that DH position if so. So I think carrying a third catcher is a safe idea. And I would imagine that's why Alfaro is here. That's the role he served for all of his teams so far in his career. Big prospect at one point, but he's really kind of been the defensive backup catcher. Can't really hit worth a lick. The Ramirez, the Mitchells, the Treshes, I don't think they have a serious chance of making the roster, but they are future, forward-looking prospects that need that shot at big league camp.
And then a handful of infielders invited as well in Connor Kaiser, Kevin Newman, Josh Rojas, Abraham Toro, Daniel Vasquez, and Peyton Wilson. I don't imagine any of those guys will make the opening day roster for this Kansas City Royals team. Yeah, you look around and you think about, who's got the best shot at getting onto the opening day roster. I would say there's really only 3 names that stand out. Alfaro is certainly one of them. He's probably the top name on that list if the Royals decide to roll with a third catcher. Gavin Cross, maybe, just because this Royals team is going to need more outfield help. But with the acquisition of Collins, bringing over from the Guardians.
Lane Thomas.
Yes, Lane. Thank you. I knew his first name started with an L. I completely blanked. Lane Thomas. On top of the fact that you've got, Kyle Isbell and Drew Waters and Jack Caglione. The only other name that really I could potentially see is Hector Neris, maybe if you wanted more bullpen, but
I wouldn't think so. I think
you made the acquisition with the Brewers to bring in a solid reliever alongside what you did in bringing in Isaac Collins, plus you acquired Matt Strahm. I don't think you need more bullpen depth. I would be shocked to see more than just Jorge Alfaro make this 25-man roster to begin the regular season.
I think the bullpen is fine. Obviously, Ursak, Strahm, Estevez in the back end. You got Mears and Lynch and Schreiber in the middle there. Man, outside of that, do you go with long relief? Kolek, Bergert, Avila? Do you go with a guy like Clark or Cruz who had solid years last year? I think the only way an outsider is going to compete for a bullpen job is if they're a lefty.
Yeah.
And Neris doesn't fit that bill. So I think on the bench, I'm looking at Massey, Alfaro, Lane Thomas. And then for right now, Tolbert, unless they acquire another outfielder and Isbell gets pushed down the roster. So I think spots, in my mind at least, are pretty well set. And so if you had to ask me, out of all of these non-roster invitees, who's making the team, I'd probably say Alfaro, and that's the end of the list.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I noticed you didn't put Drew Waters' name onto that bench. You don't think Drew Waters makes the opening day roster?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. I
was actually pretty impressed with him at points in the year, and then, of course, he fell off a cliff and got sent to AAA, and we never saw him again.
Look, the acquisitions of Isaac Collins and Lane Thomas do 2 things. One, they stand to eliminate the black hole in the back half of the lineup the Royals had for most of last season. We are turning our easy outs into professional at-bats, if nothing else. But secondly, they forced that mediocrity down off the roster. And so no hate to Nick Lofton, to John Rave, to Drew Waters. The guys just don't have business being on a major league roster, at least not on opening day, and at least not based on what they've shown so far. So I'm much more comfortable with the depth on the major league team now with those guys, even though I still am pro adding another outfield bat before the season starts.
We keep talking about Isaac Collins. I want to discuss him a little bit more when we come back because I have been doing some research, reading some articles and whatnot, and I am becoming more and more excited about the possibility of Isaac Collins on this Royals team based on what he did in Milwaukee last year in a very, for his particular style of play, the way he hits the baseball, does not play well in Milwaukee. The numbers suggest it plays extremely well at Kauffman Stadium. I want to talk a little bit more about that when we come back. 913-586-7965 is our number. You're listening to After Hours. Logan Weber here with you alongside producer Nathan Williams here on 96.5, The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
40,000 people. That's not a crowd. It's a small city. It's also the number of people choosing pain relief without surgery. 40,000 people who said, stop, before you replace my knee or my hip. Before I put my life on hold, there has to be another way. And they found it at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in cellular level treatments that revitalize joint tissue naturally. Patients who thought surgery was the only answer are getting their lives back thanks to QC Kinetics advanced regenerative treatments. Surgery isn't always the answer. QC Kinetics uses safe, natural treatments to activate your body's healing power with zero downtime. Get started now to ease inflammation and slow the progression of osteoarthritis. Call them today because 40,000 people can't be wrong. Before you say yes to surgery, do your research and call my friends at QC Kinetics. The consultation's free. 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone. 816-412-6299.
Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $32.99, plus 2 times points at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Limit supply.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Let's go!
You've still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Did you know that you can watch all your favorite shows right on YouTube? We're live streaming Fesco and Dusty, Cody and Gold, The Drive, and After Hours all day long. So if you want to look at the beautiful Alex Gold, interact with Cody Tapp in the chat, or gaze at the ruggedly handsome Dusty Likens, just go to YouTube and watch them while you pretend to work. Go to our channel, hit subscribe, and stay up to date with 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
Okay, I promised I would talk about Isaac Collins at some point, but I'm being made aware of something. Knew about the Bill Belichick situation, him not getting into the Hall of Fame. What I didn't know is that of all the people with a vote in Canton for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the first one who has come out publicly and said, I did not vote for Bill Belichick, is actually Kansas City's own Vahe Gregorian. And while I am of the opinion that Bill Belichick should have gotten into the Hall of Fame, reading his reasoning for why he didn't vote for Belichick has opened my eyes a little bit. And it has made me even more critical of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So, Vahe has broken down the dynamics behind voting for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Right? You've got the 15-man modern era ballot. There is, aside from that, a 5-person pool made up of 3 categories, 3 senior candidates, a contributor, and a coach. Belichick is a part of that 5, alongside Robert Kraft, the owner and chairman of the New England Patriots, as well as 3 players. Longtime Bengals quarterback Ken Anderson, longtime superstar 49ers running back Roger Craig, and L.C. Greenwood. Voters were only allowed to vote for 3 of those 5 candidates. Those 5 of those 5, they had to amass 80% of the vote to get in. So by only giving the voters 3 votes instead of the full 5, it is very, very difficult to get all 5 members in. Impossible to get all 5 members in, just statistically. Vahe said that he believed all 5 are deserving of getting into the Hall of Fame, and that he initially thought he was going to be voting for Bill Belichick, as I imagine many of us will, right? He said that his reasoning for not voting for Belichick had nothing to do with Spygate and Deflategate or any of those things. It simply had to do with the guardrails put in place with the voting process and the fact that he could only vote for 3 of the 5 candidates. He said when it came time to vote, he felt duty-bound to vote for 3 richly deserving senior candidates, Anderson, Craig, and Greenwood, who, this is one of their last opportunities to get into the Hall of Fame. Belichick still has many opportunities. So it raises an interesting question, right? So you only put 5 candidates on this specific type of ballot. You force the voters to only vote on 3 of them. Meanwhile, you've got a 15-person modern era vote. Why is Bill Belichick not a part of the modern era vote? I don't care that he's a coach. I don't care if this, again, I'm less upset with the voters now and more upset with the process and the rules that are put in place for this, because it puts these media members in a horrendous position.
So I'm with you and Vahe, and I will pile on the voting process until the cows come home. Now, I think people act like it's an easier thing to fix than it really is. I don't think there's really a perfect answer. There's going to be pitfalls of everything. And at the same time, we can't just put everyone in the Hall of Fame. So I'm with you on the process being dumb and needing changed. What I will say, though, is if as a media member who I could dream of having a vote one day, I think my response would be, so just to clear what I just said, I could only dream of having a vote one day. I do not believe I will ever have a Hall of Fame vote, and I can't imagine what that decision is like. If I was in his shoes, I think my rationale would be, there are many ways I could go wrong here. What I'm going to do is vote for the most deserving candidate, which is right back to, I got there in a roundabout way, but it's right back to square one. Do I need to be concerned about who's going to fall off in a few years? Do I need to be concerned about how much longer Belichick has? Do I need to be concerned about, you know what? I'm just going to vote for who is the best out of these names in front of me right now, and that's Bill Belichick. So I disagree slightly with the voters who just say, well, other guys were up against their last chance. Okay, Bill Belichick is the most deserving on the list, period.
Yeah, that's fair.
It is broken. It does need fixing, and I see where he's coming from. I don't know if that is enough to absolve me of voting for Belichick.
Yeah, and this whole story is getting increasingly more bizarre now. The NFL has now come out and said that if they uncover tangible evidence of voters violating the bylaws of the voting process, they will be removed from the voting process. So it now sounds as if they're trying to cover their own tracks. They're trying to paint these media members as more villainous than their process is, which feels like deplorable action in and of itself. I'm sort of a different opinion of you. Like, I can't say I blame Vahe for not voting for Belichick if he could only vote for 5 names.
I don't like, if you look on Twitter, Vahe's being like dragged through the mud by New Englanders, and I think that's overboard. I don't think Vahe's to blame here. I wouldn't go that far. I just think I'd make a different decision, but I understand what he was up against.
Yeah, L.C. Greenwood retired from the National Football League in 1981 as a 6-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time All-Pro, I should say 2-time first-team All-Pro. He won 4 Super Bowls. He was a major linchpin of that steel curtain defense for years and years and years. How is he not in the Hall of Fame already? Roger Craig, one of the greatest running backs of the 1980s in the National Football League, helped the 49ers to 3 Super Bowl victories, a 4-time Pro Bowler, an All-Pro in this league. Mm-hmm. He actually won an MVP award. Now, not the AP Most Valuable Player by any means, but he was a first-team All-Pro that year. He won the Offensive Player of the Year award. I believe Roger Craig should be a Hall of Famer. Ken Anderson won an MVP in this league. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler. He led the Cincinnati Bengals to some great years during his tenure there, and possibly could have had more success had it not been for injuries late in his career.
Yeah, I think
So
Elsie
you
and
put
Craig.
those three on the ballot, plus Belichick, plus Robert Kraft. Well, I mean, what the hell?
Well, so what's our solution then as voters, right? Like, what would the voter solution be? Is it to continue to vote for guys who are at the end of their chances, and then in years from now, a guy like Robert Kraft is up against it, and so then we're sitting here saying, oh, well, we couldn't vote in Sean McVay this year because it was Robert Kraft's last chance to get in, and we got to, like, someone is going to, get left out when they should have been in.
Yeah,
but that's the pitfall of the Hall of Fame in
Right.
general.
I don't necessarily disagree. Here's my solution. Don't limit the voters.
I know.
If there's 15 candidates on the modern era ballot, they should be able to vote for all 15 if they want to.
It's what baseball does.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of this whole. It's got to be this exclusive club and this and that and the other thing. No, it doesn't have to be. I'm sorry, because there are players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown that many would argue don't deserve to get in. But because you've tightened your purse strings on the process, I don't know, it's because you've run out of room in the building or on the wall and you don't want to expand. I have no freaking idea. I'm sorry. If there are 20 names on the ballot and all 20 of them deserve to get into the Hall of Fame, guess what? You've got a 20-man class for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's the way it should be. We're not going to sit here and ration who we think are some of the all-time great players in the history of football. That's not the way that we should process this. There are 50 superstar players in the National Football League today. So we should say, no, there's only actually 6 superstar players in the NFL now? You can't sit here in a game that has 53 people on an active roster for 32 teams across this league and limit there's 3,000 players in the National Football League and say that only 4 people a year should get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's outrageous to me.
The counter argument is it is the best of the best. It's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Really Good. But I side with you at the end of the day. I think the answer is just if a guy's good enough, let us vote him in. But I also wonder if voters still would have kept him out for other petty reasons. Vahe is the first person to come out and say, I did it for this reason. There have to be voters who did it because they didn't like Bill, and that's wrong too.
I mean, just looking at last year's Hall of Fame voting, Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Jari Evans, Antonio Gates, Torrey Holt, Luke Kuechly, Eli Manning, Steve Smith Sr., Terrell Suggs, Fred Taylor, Adam Vinatieri, Reggie Wayne, Darren Woodson, and Marshall Yanda. Those were the 15 names. Of those 15, I would argue at least 10 of them deserve to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And the voters should be allowed to vote as such. I don't know why everyone is up in arms about a cheating coach not getting in on his first time. He won 6 Super Bowls. 8 if you count him as an assistant coach. I don't give a damn that he cheated. He's the greatest coach in the history of the National Football League. Point blank. The conversation's over.
Conversation for a different day. I think we are just too... I think we have lowered the standard of what being a Hall of Famer means in all sports. I think our generation is guilty of that. That being said, I am not saying Bill Belichick is not a Hall of Famer. I'm with you, greatest coach of all time. And it's a travesty that he's not in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot.
Listen, I just want to point out, if Joe Namath is a Hall of Famer, I don't feel like we have lowered the expectation. I feel like the expectation has been risen far. We've overcorrected. If Joe Namath, who has more career interceptions than touchdowns by nearly 50, is a Pro Football Hall of Famer, the expectation should be higher than that. But we have absolutely course-corrected the wrong way.
100%.
We went from the median to the shoulder. All of a sudden, we are not firmly in the lane as it stands. 913-586-7965 is our number. I wanted to talk about Isaac Collins. I've completely sidestepped that. We'll have to wait and do that another day. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow night, all right? Don't worry about it. Logan Weber alongside Nathan Williams. You're listening to After Hours here on 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. The final chance to place your bets before the NFL season closes its tab. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel's making sure you're in on it. If you're a new customer, bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or you're building one last same-game parlay, make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season's over, and football is officially done. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel Sportsbooks, the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call Heartland Men's Health today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at Heartland Men's Health will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
I just can't. I keep just diving down this rabbit hole of Hall of Famers that I just don't understand. Like, there's so many names. Joe Namath is a name I already threw out. He had a losing record as a quarterback. He completed 50% of his passes in his career. Could you imagine a quarterback completing 50% of their throws today? There would be riots in the street. Look at what they did to Anthony Richardson with how poor his accuracy was.
But we know that in all sports, we've come to our senses when it comes to what is a good player, to defining a successful player. So I don't think you can stretch that and say, well, since Joe Namath got in, then present day Joe Namath, I don't know, Jared Goff needs to get in. You know what I mean? I think we just should have higher standards.
I'm with you. I think the standards need to be higher, but there are so many names.
Yeah.
Like I said, it just feels like we have overcorrected ourselves.
Oh,
we
absolutely.
were letting in guys that had no business being in the Hall of Fame to now we're keeping out guys who should be in consideration for the Hall of Fame. Lynn Swann had one All-Pro season in his career. He never amassed 1,000 yards as a receiver. He never went over 61 catches one time in the regular season. He's in the Hall of Fame. What about somebody like Tom Fears, who had 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons in his career? Yeah, exactly. Played from 1948 to 1956. He had 400 career catches. He's in the Hall of Fame. He went to 1 Pro Bowl. And I'm sorry.
Shadur Sanders.
I'm sorry, Chiefs fans. If Jan Stenerud is in the Hall of Fame, there are a hell of a lot of guys who deserve to get into. For my producer, Nathan Williams, I'm Logan Weber. Thanks for listening to this final 30-minute soapbox that I've given you here on After Hours. Back tomorrow night from 7 o'clock to 9 here on 96.5, The Fan.